Chapter 886. Pft. I don't have time for you. You already have a girlfriend, and you're still trying to seduce us. You're definitely not a good person. I advise you to cherish what's in front of you. Bye-bye. Tian Souring said with a look of disgust. Then he pulled Su Chuxiao away as he cursed in his heart. You're so ugly, yet you still have the nerve to flirt around. Moreover, you did it in front of your girlfriend. How shameless. However, Su Chuxia, who was dragged away by Tian Souring, did not think so. She did not know why, but when she saw Xiao Chun, she felt a sense of familiarity with him, even though he looked unfamiliar. It was as if the two of them had known each other for a long time. Could it be that they had looked back 500 times in their previous lives? Xiao Yi, I realize that you're getting more and more filthy. How dare you say painless in front of so many girls? What was that? Even if you're shameless, there should be a limit, alright? Cheng Minjing scolded him with a stern face after she watched Tian Souring and Su Chuxia walk away. Haha, what's wrong with that? It's not like I don't know them. I was just joking. Xiao Chen shook his head with a smile. He did it on purpose to make Su Chuxia and Tian Souring stop paying attention to him. You know them? Cheng Minjing was shocked. She asked suspiciously. Don't tell me they're your mistresses' mistresses? That's not it. Didn't I tell you just now? I was on a mission at Lanqing University. I was in charge of protecting a girl, the one just now. Xiao Chen shrugged. He briefly explained Su Chuxia and Tian Souring's identities, as well as his mission. Oh, I see. Looks like you're still hiding a lot from me. Cheng Minjing felt a little uncomfortable. She thought about it and asked, You really have nothing to do with them? Ever since she discovered the adultery between Xiao Chun and Lu Shuangshuang, Cheng Minjing became a little suspicious. As long as a beautiful girl talked to Xiao Chun, she would feel that there was something wrong. Don't let your imagination run wild. I really don't have that kind of relationship, but I'm on good terms with them. I should be considered good friends. Xiao Chun smiled and said, Otherwise I wouldn't have made such a joke. Well, I'll believe you this time. Just do what you say. Seeing that Xiao Chun's attitude was very indifferent, Cheng Minjing also believed 70% to 80%. She was too lazy to ask more. In any case, she would be able to see him every day. If she wanted to catch the adulterer, wouldn't it be a matter of minutes? The two of them came to the classroom of the ancient martial arts research major with big and small bags. In the end, they found that there were only 3 male students sitting in the entire classroom, including Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing who were standing at the door. There were only a total of 5 people. The huge classroom seemed very deserted. However, Xiao Chun was not surprised by this scene. Archaeology was a very boring subject. Coupled with the fact that it was an unpopular major like ancient martial arts research, there was even less interest in applying for it. After all, it was not easy for young students to pass the college entrance examination. They all hoped to find a university that they liked and a popular major to study, such as international trade management, computer technology, or law. Moreover, it was easier for students who studied such major to find a job after graduation, who would have nothing better to do and come to study ancient martial arts. After looking around the classroom, Xiao Chun carried his bags and walked in. Cheng Minjing followed behind him. Xiao Chun looked at the other 3 students sitting in the classroom without batting an eyelid. One of them seemed to be very aloof, sitting there expressionlessly. He only shot a glance at the new student and then ignored him. No one knew what he was thinking. The other one was silently reading a book. He did not even raise his head. Xiao Chun quietly glanced at him. He found that he was reading a book that looked like a martial arts secret book. However, he did not know what the content was. The person had only opened the middle 2 pages. Without being able to connect the context, Xiao Chun could not understand it at all. As for the remaining person, he was very enthusiastic. As soon as Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing stepped into the classroom, that person immediately greeted them with a smile. Hello, my name is Jia Muzhen. I am an ancient martial arts enthusiast. Jia Muzhen first shook hands with Xiao Chun. Then he smiled and nodded to Cheng Minjing. After all, she was a girl. Although she was not very beautiful, it was not appropriate to casually shake hands. Hello, my name is Xiao Yi. This is my girlfriend Chung Yao Yao. We did not study ancient martial arts. It was only because we were curious that we signed up for this major. Xiao Chen said straightforwardly. Hearing the other party say that he was an ancient martial arts enthusiast, Xiao Chen could not say that he was also an ancient martial arts enthusiast, right? If he came up for an academic discussion, wouldn't he be stumped? Hee, so that's how it is. You spent a whole 4 years to be curious about this major. It seems that the two of you are really interested in this. Jia Muzin was a little surprised and asked in surprise. Xiao Chen smiled and did not answer. He knew that his statement was a little hasty, but he could not find a more suitable reason at the moment. Actually, ancient martial arts is quite interesting. If you are interested in learning more, I can take some time to explain the introductory knowledge in this area. Jia Muzin did not pursue this matter too much. Instead, he pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose and enthusiastically introduced the subject. In his opinion, perhaps these two people had impressive backgrounds. They were second-generation rich or something. They came to university for entertainment and did not have any requirements for their major. This kind of thing was very common, so Jia Muzin did not find it strange. Okay, thank you very much. Xiao Chen smiled and nodded. His first impression of Jia Muzin was quite good. After sitting down, he chatted with him for a while. Not long after, the classroom door was pushed open with a click. An old man who looked like a pedant walked in. After glancing at the students in the classroom, he walked to the podium. Hello, students. I am the instructor in charge of teaching ancient martial arts. I am also the only instructor in Lon City University who has the honor of being a tenured professor in the Department of Archaeology. Although the old man was over 60 years old, his legs were very agile. He came to the center of the podium in a few steps and introduced himself. Xiao Chen and the others were shocked. They did not expect the old man to have such a loud voice despite his thin body. Everyone quickly sat up straight and focused on the teacher on the podium. The old man nodded with satisfaction and continued. My surname is Zhong. You can call me Professor Zhong or Sir Zhong. You can also call me Professor Zhong. Huft. Xiao Chen almost spat out. He did not expect this Professor Zhong to be so fashionable. He did not look like an old man at all. In our ancient martial arts department, there are a total of 6 freshmen reporting this year. But now I have counted, there are only 5 people. As for where the other male student went, I don't want to know. After all, the class hasn't officially started yet, so I won't bother with him so much. Professor Zhong looked at the roster in his hand and knocked on the table casually. Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing looked at each other with a helpless expression. Although they knew that they had entered an unpopular department, it was too unpopular. There were only 6 people in the entire department. It was estimated that a row of tables could not be filled. The young miss was even more worried. Professor Zhong just said that the remaining student was also a male student? Then she was the only girl in this department. What would happen to the dormitory if that was the case? Professor Zhong paused, put his hand on the table and continued. Next, you will go to the dormitory to rest first, and then familiarize yourselves with the environment of Lon City University. After the official start of the semester, the school will arrange 10 days of military training and welcome party for the freshmen. I will tell you the specific time and content of the party when the time comes. Are there any other questions? Xiao Chen and the other boys shook their heads. It was their first day meeting Professor Zhong, so they did not know what to ask. Professor Zhong, Cheng Minjing plucked up the courage to speak, but was interrupted by Professor Zhong. I know what you want to ask. Since you are the only girl in this department, your dormitory will be together with the girls of other departments. When you go to the girls' dormitory later, ask the teacher in charge there, and you will know. Oh, okay. Cheng Minjing was stunned and answered subconsciously. Then she heard Professor Zhong ask again. Who else has a question? Looking at the silent crowd, Professor Zhong shrugged and said, Very good. I have already given you a chance to ask questions. Since none of you asked, don't come to me if you are caught unprepared. Dismissed. After saying that, he picked up the roster on the table, turned around, and walked out of the classroom. I still have a question. Cheng Minjing muttered softly, her expression not looking too good. Why is this old man in such a hurry? I haven't even finished asking my question. He's running away faster than a monkey. The boy who was reading, and the aloof boy waited for Professor Zhong to leave. Without saying a word, they packed up and left the classroom. It seemed that they went to find their own dormitories. Xiao Chun and Jia Muzhen looked at each other, and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why is this Professor Zhong like an old urchin? He doesn't have the tone and magnanimity of an elder at all. It's just like the saying, the old should be arrogant, the young should be steady. Xiao Yi, why didn't you ask where the girls' dormitory of the archaeology department is just now? Do you want me to look for it alone? Cheng Minjing had nowhere to vent her anger, so she simply fired at Xiao Chen. Professor Zhong has a weird temper. I just hesitated for a moment, and he actually ran away. He even said that I shouldn't look for him if I am caught unprepared. What kind of teacher is this? It's okay. I will go with you. I am quite familiar with the girls' dormitory. Xiao Chen had been there many times before. I will also go with you. I am not very familiar with the environment here. It just so happens that I can have a companion. Jia Muzhen continued with a smile. Cheng Minjing rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen. She originally wanted to ask him why he was so familiar with the girls' dormitory, and if he often went in and peeped at girls bathing. However, with Jia Muzhen by her side, she held back. Chapter 887. Xiao Chen did not refuse. He could see that Jia Muzhen's character was not bad. Although he was more enthusiastic, he was still polite and didn't talk much. It would be best if he could become his roommate. The three of them dragged their bags and walked towards the dormitory. They did not receive much attention on the way. After all, Xiao Chun and Jia Muzhen looked like loser young men, and Cheng Minjing's appearance was relatively ordinary. She was the kind of person who could not be found in the crowd, so no one paid attention to the three of them. When they arrived at the dormitory, Cheng Minjing realized that the boys' dormitory and the girls' dormitory were facing each other. No wonder Xiao Chen said such strange things. Lanqing University was a relatively high-class university. The dormitories were all simple two-person rooms, and they were all divided according to their major. As expected, Xiao Chen's wish came true. He and Jia Muzhen were indeed assigned to the same dormitory. However, Cheng Minjing was the only girl in the ancient martial arts major, so she could only be coordinated and arranged in the dormitory of other majors, as Professor Zhong had already said just now. Originally, Xiao Chen wanted to find Professor Zhong to coordinate and see if he could arrange a separate room for Cheng Minjing. But considering what Professor Zhong had just said, he had to give up this idea. Besides, even if he wanted to find him, he didn't know where to find him. In desperation, Xiao Chen could only find a tutor in charge of the girls' dormitory. After explaining the situation in detail to her, she happily took Cheng Minjing to arrange a dormitory. Lanqing University focused on science and engineering. There were more men's dormitories and fewer women's dormitories, so there were basically no vacancies. Even if there were single people living in, they were all people with backgrounds who could not be offended. Therefore, when the tutor in charge looked for them at the beginning, she was also confused and didn't know where to start. Fortunately, when she checked the situation of the dormitory, she suddenly received a phone call. The phone call was from the school, and she was ordered to arrange Cheng Minjing and Ling Qinyu in the same dormitory. It turned out that Lanqing University felt that it wouldn't be a problem for these two to live together, since they both had connections with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. It was also reasonable for them to live together, so they made such an arrangement. The female tutor finally heaved a sigh of relief. She hurriedly brought Cheng Minjing to Ling Qinyu's room, gave her the key, and left after saying a few words. Opening the door, Cheng Minjing saw that Ling Qinyu had yet to return from her summer vacation. She put away her luggage, rolled up her sleeves, and began to clean the room. Since no one had lived here for a long time, there was a lot of dust in the room. It took Cheng Minjing a whole hour to clean it up. Looking at the clean windows and table, she was about to take a hot shower when the door of the dormitory was suddenly pushed open. Who are you? Why are you in my dormitory? Ling Qinyu, who was standing at the door, was shocked and asked in surprise. Why would a girl suddenly appear in the room? No one had informed her before. Hello, my name is Chung Yao Yao. I've just arrived at Lanqing University to report today. Since my department doesn't have an extra female dormitory, I've been arranged to live in the same dormitory as you. Please take care of me. Chung Minjing smiled and said politely, Ah, I see. Hearing that it was arranged by the school, although Ling Qinyu was still a little unwilling, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she said enthusiastically, Hello, I thought it was boring to live alone. Now that I have a companion, it's not bad. If you need any help, just ask me. Thank you. I still have many things to trouble Senior Qinyu in the future. Chung Minjing was originally worried that she would be ignored, but she didn't expect to meet a considerate roommate. She was very happy, and her tone became more intimate. From now on, we'll be living under the same roof. If there's any inconvenience, I hope Senior Qinyu can forgive me. Oh, you know my name? Ling Qinyu was a little surprised. Did this Chung Yao Yao come prepared? The tutor who brought me here just told me. I just found out that you're called Ling Qinyu, and you're 1 year older than me. Chung Minjing nodded with a smile. Ling Qinyu made an oh sound and finally understood. She felt ashamed in her heart. I shouldn't have thought too badly of others. Seeing that Ling Qinyu didn't speak, Chung Minjing took the initiative to invite her. Senior sister, it's already noon. Why don't we have lunch together? Junior sister will treat you. The reason why the miss was so close to Ling Qinyu was because after talking, she felt that this senior sister had a good temper. Although she was very beautiful, her personality wasn't as weird as other beauties like Yi Xiaoya. She should be a friend worth making. So she wanted to invite her to lunch together. Although her pocket money wasn't as much as before, after being extorted by Xiao Chun, her pocket money was still more than that of an ordinary university student. Moreover, the university cafeteria wasn't that expensive. The two girls couldn't eat much even if they stuffed themselves. After all, they would be staying together in the future. It wasn't a bad thing to build a good relationship in advance. How can that be? Since you called me senior sister, this meal is naturally on me. How can I let you spend money when you just entered the university? Ling Qinyu quickly waved her hand. The grudge in her heart was gradually dispelled. In fact, because Ling Qinyu had always lived alone, she felt very uncomfortable suddenly having another person in the dorm. One had to know that she usually liked to walk around in the room naked. She also had the habit of sleeping naked. Therefore, the arrival of Chung Minjing made her feel very awkward for a moment. However, Ling Qinyu couldn't refuse. She couldn't use her grandfather's name to force the school to vacate a dorm for her, right? That would be too unreasonable. It was impossible for her to do that. However, what made her feel fortunate was that this Chung Yao Yao in front of her, although her appearance was relatively ordinary, her attitude was polite. She looked like a well-educated and reasonable person. In the future, they should be able to get along well. She wouldn't have any conflicts with her. Chung Minjing still wanted to decline. However, the phone on her suddenly rang. She smiled apologetically at Ling Qinyu. She took out her phone and found that it was Xiao Chun who called. She picked it up. Yao Yao, Jia Muzin and I have settled down. Did you settle the dorm on your side? Xiao Chun asked on the other side of the phone. It has been settled. The school arranged a dorm for me. I live with a senior sister. Chung Minjing nodded her head and replied. Oh, that's good. Xiao Chun pondered for a moment and continued. How about this? I'll come to find you later. Jia Muzin just said that he wanted to eat with me. I think it's about time. You should call that senior sister. Let's go together. It's my treat. There was a reason why Xiao Chun said this. Considering Miss Cheng's personality, he was afraid that this little girl might cause trouble for her senior sister in the future. So it was better to build a good relationship with her first. Okay, then you guys come over now. I'll be in the female dorm. I'll go down with senior sister later. Chung Minjing didn't hesitate and directly agreed. After putting down the phone, she told Ling Qinyu about her boyfriend wanting to treat her. She wanted to ask for her opinion. Ling Qinyu didn't refuse. She felt that since they would often meet in the future, there was no harm in getting to know each other now. The two of them went downstairs after a little tidying up. When they just walked out of the female dorm, they saw Xiao Chun and Jiao Muzin standing not far away and chatting. Cheng Minjing greeted them and walked over with Ling Qianyu. "Hello, senior sister." When Xiao Chun first saw Ling Qianyu, he was a little shocked. He didn't think that she was the Miss Roommate. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? But after thinking about it, he understood the school's arrangement. They must have thought that both of them had a relationship with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. So they put them together. Ling Qianyu nodded and said, "Hello. I'm Yao Yao's roommate, Ling Qianyu." Xiao Chun calmed down and extended his hand without batting an eyelid. "Nice to meet you. Let me introduce myself. I'm Cheng Yao Yao's boyfriend, Xiao Chun. In the future, please take care of our Yao Yao." "Xiaoyi." Ling Qianyu repeated the name a few times. She felt that she had seen this guy before, but she couldn't remember where. She generously extended her hand and shook Xiao Chun's hand. Then she smiled and said, "You're too polite. Actually, I'm quite happy to live with Yao Yao. Otherwise, it would be boring to live alone in an empty dorm." Regarding Ling Qianyu's temper, Xiao Chun knew it like the back of his hand. Seeing that she actually pretended to be a good girl, he couldn't help but laugh. But in the end, he forcefully held back and didn't laugh out loud. That being said, since Cheng Minjing was living with Ling Qianyu, Xiao Chun was a lot more relieved. At least he knew Ling Qianyu. Although her personality was a bit unreasonable, her character was good, and she wasn't a bad person. "Hi, senior sister, hello. I'm Xiao Yi's roommate, Jiao Muzin. Please take care of me." Jiao Muzin was a bit nervous and stuttered. He had heard a lot about Ling Qianyu. She was the campus belle of Lanqing University. He didn't expect that he would have the opportunity to see her in person as soon as he entered the university. It was really exciting. Jiao Muzin originally wanted to learn from Xiao Chun and extend his hand to shake the goddess's delicate hand. But after mustering up his courage for a long time, he didn't dare to extend his hand. "Hello." Ling Qianyu slightly smiled. She had seen this kind of situation too many times, so she didn't care too much about Jiao Muzin's reaction. "Well, since everyone knows each other, let's go eat," Xiao Chun said, and then led Jiao Muzin to the direction of the cafeteria. Ling Qianyu and Cheng Minjing followed behind them and chatted about some topics that girls were interested in. Xiaoyi. Jiao Muzin whispered on the side. "Huh? What's wrong?" Xiao Chun looked at him in confusion. This guy has been secretly turning his head from time to time. Could it be that he fell in love with Ling Qianyu? Chapter 888. What's wrong with you? That Ling Qianyu is a great beauty. How come you don't seem to be moved at all? Could it be that there's something wrong with your physiology? Jiao Muzin didn't really fall in love. He also knew that it was impossible for him to have any relationship with Ling Qianyu. But such a beautiful woman, it was good to see a few more times. F***CKU. If there's something wrong with my physiology, why would I have a girlfriend? It's just because I've seen so many beautiful women that I've already cultivated to the point of immunity. Xiao Chun shook his head disapprovingly. He thought to himself, the beauty in your eyes, even her breasts and buttocks have been seen by me. How could I be as thirsty as you? Hehe. I've heard that there's a type of gays who cheat marriage. They look normal on the surface, but in fact they like men in their hearts. Don't tell me you belong to this type of person? Jiao Muzin didn't believe Xiao Chun's nonsense. He teased him with a funny face. He even deliberately stood a little further away from Xiao Chun, as if he was afraid. F***CK. A 24K pure gold 300% straight man like me. How can I cheat marriage? What are you thinking about in your head? Can you say something more nutritious? Xiao Chun laughed and scolded. He found that there was something wrong with Jiao Muzin's brain circuit, so he didn't bother to talk to him anymore. After walking for a while, they arrived at the cafeteria. Because there were a lot of freshmen who came to report, and because it was mealtime, the first floor of the cafeteria was full. There were no empty seats at all. Xiao Chun thought that since there were 4 of them eating, it was quite cost-effective to order dishes, so he led everyone to the second floor. However, what surprised Xiao Chun was that there were no empty seats on the second floor, and the private rooms here required a minimum of 1,000 yuan. After all, the cafeteria of the university was outsourced, and opening the door was also to make money. Xiao Chun originally wanted to bite the bullet and enter the private room to eat a good meal. But when he called the waiter, he found out that there was only one private room left, and it had been booked. This time, Xiao Chun was a little depressed. People say that a hero is stumped by a penny, but now a hero is stumped by a table. Wasn't this Qingyu? What a coincidence. We're really fated. Just when everyone was looking at each other, not knowing what to do, someone suddenly ran over from a table in the corner and said happily, "Qingyu, you're here to eat, right? You see, there are no seats left. Why don't you sit at my table? There's an empty seat." Xiao Chun took a closer look. Wasn't that Zheng Xiding? Who would have thought that he'd run into Lanqing University's cafeteria twice? What a coincidence. There's no need to trouble yourself. I came here with a few friends. We can just wait a little longer. Ling Qinyu rejected indifferently. The smile on her face had also disappeared. Clearly, she was very unhappy with Zheng Xiding's appearance. Oh, who are they? Zheng Xiding turned around in surprise and saw that there were two men and a woman standing beside Ling Qinyu. However, they were all unfamiliar faces, and he had never seen them before. Zheng Xiding couldn't be blamed for not paying attention to them. With Ling Qinyu around, everyone would subconsciously ignore the ordinary people around her. They could only blame Ling Qinyu for being too dazzling. "Hello, I'm senior sister Qinyu's roommate Cheng Yao Yao. This is my boyfriend Xiao Yi, and this is his roommate Jiao Muzhen." Cheng Minjing didn't quite understand the situation. She could only point at Xiao Chun and Jiao Muzhen respectively and introduce them. "We've just entered the university, so we're here for a meal. Welcome, welcome. Since we've met, it's a kind of fate. Instead of standing here and starving, why don't I be the host and treat everyone to a meal?" Zheng Xiding was especially enthusiastic. He looked around and pointed to the other side and said, "Isn't there an empty room over there? Let's go eat there." Without waiting for Cheng Minjing and the others to speak, Zheng Xiding directly called the waiter over with a forthright expression. "I want that room. Go and bring me one of the best and most expensive dishes. Hurry up." The reason why Zheng Xiding volunteered to treat them to a meal was mainly to win over Cheng Minjing. Although Cheng Minjing's appearance wasn't that outstanding, she was Ling Qinyu's roommate. If he could make Cheng Minjing happy, she would help him put in a few good words to Ling Qinyu in private. Then, capturing Miss Ling's heart wouldn't be a dream anymore. "I'm sorry, sir. That room has already been reserved. Can you wait a little longer?" The waiter was also very helpless. He didn't expect business to be so good today. All the seats were full. F***CK your grandpa. It's almost past lunchtime, and I don't see anyone coming to this room. Could it be that it was reserved by a ghost? Are you messing with me? When Zheng Xiding was stopped by the waiter, he immediately felt a little embarrassed. He originally wanted to show off in front of everyone, but he didn't expect that he would be directly rejected. This made him very embarrassed, so his tone was very unfriendly. The waiter was in a difficult position. In their line of work, they naturally knew that some customers couldn't be offended. For example, Zheng Xiding in front of them was the young master of an aristocratic family in Lan City. Normally, they had to treat him like a big boss. However, the person who reserved the room today also had a powerful background. They couldn't afford to offend either side. What this and that? Stop wasting time. Can't you see that my friend is hungry? Hurry up and serve the dishes. Zheng Xiding waved his hand and glared at the waiter impatiently. Yo, young Master Zheng is quite arrogant, huh? This room was reserved by this young master. If you have any problems, come at me. Is it very satisfying to vent your anger on the waiter? Just when the waiter was in a dilemma, a gentle male voice suddenly sounded. Zheng Xiding turned his head and saw that it was his archenemy, Shui Gao, walking over. Behind him were two pretty girls. At this moment, Shui Gao was looking at him with a teasing gaze. Zheng Xiding became angry when he saw Shui Gao. Both of them were tyrants in Lan City University. However, because of their different temperaments, they never got along. Originally, they minded their own business, but recently, they had frequent conflicts. The reason was that the Zheng family and Shui family behind them were at loggerheads. Originally, the former was in the hotel and import and export trade business, while the latter was in the real estate business. Logically speaking, they shouldn't be related. However, the patriarchs of the two families had their eyes on a piece of land. In order to obtain the right to use that piece of land, the two families fought openly and covertly countless times. However, they were evenly divided, and no one was able to gain any advantage. That piece of land was still lying there. In the end, when the two families saw that there was no way to solve the problem, they could only choose to put the matter aside for now. On the surface, everything was calm, and they were busy with their own business. However, in the dark, both sides were looking for opportunities to destroy the other. Hee. I was wondering who was bragging so much. I didn't expect that it was young Master Shui who booked the private room. I didn't expect you to be in such a good mood. It's fine if you play with prostitutes outside the university, but you actually brought them to the university's cafeteria to eat. Should I say, is it better for you to sully the campus, or is it better for you to perform as an art? Zheng Shiding snorted lightly and said in a sarcastic tone. Shui Gao, who appeared to be gentle, virtuous, thrifty, elegant, and charming, was actually doing dirty things behind the scenes. Others might not know about it, but Zheng Shiding was very clear about it. Looking at the two girls behind Shui Gao, one of them was wearing very revealing clothes, and although the other looked relatively pure, he reckoned that she wasn't any better. According to Shui Gao's playful nature, Zheng Shiding concluded that the two girls behind him were prostitutes. However, he was puzzled as to why Shui Gao would bring them to the cafeteria to eat. Wasn't this a disgrace? However, these two girls were quite good-looking. He didn't know where Shui Gao found these two high-quality goods. Could it be that he wanted to bring them out to show off? Xiao Chen originally stood at the side silently, but when he saw the two girls behind Shui Gao, he realized that they were actually Su Chuxia and Tian Souring. Then, when he heard Zheng Shiding ridiculing them, he immediately felt a little unhappy. Hey, what did you say? Before Xiao Chen could react, Tian Souring couldn't hold it in anymore. She pointed at Zheng Shiding and scolded. You bastard, how dare you insult Sister Souring? You're the prostitute. No, you're the duck, your whole family are ducks. Tian Souring was about to explode. Originally, she only wanted to eat with Su Chuxia, but the cafeteria was full. The two of them could only stand at the entrance and wait for seats. In the end, they were caught by Shui Gao. This guy coaxed and pestered them, wanting to treat them to a meal. He patted his chest and guaranteed that he had already booked a private room. Tian Souring didn't know what was wrong with her. She actually wanted to set him up so that he would back off. After much effort, she finally persuaded Su Chuxia to go upstairs. But she didn't expect to be humiliated by this random guy. She was so unlucky. B*TCH. I think you're looking for death. Zheng Shiding had never been humiliated like this before. He was instantly infuriated. He rushed over and raised his hand to slap Tian Souring. Some time ago, under the guidance of Shi Yuchuan, Zheng Shiding had been promoted to a stage for Inner Force Warrior. He thought it would be a piece of cake to teach a weak girl a lesson. However, a figure suddenly appeared in front of him and directly blocked his raised palm. Young Master Zheng, I realized that you're quite capable. You actually hit a woman. You're quite skilled. Shui Gao narrowed his eyes and sneered. He shook off Zheng Shiding's hand and turned to Ling Qianyu with a faint smile. Qianyu, I advise you to stay away from young Master Zheng. His character is so bad that he might hit you one day. It doesn't matter if you're pretty or not. Xiao Chen took another step back. When he saw that Zheng Shiding was about to hit Tian Souring, he subconsciously wanted to rush out. However, just as he moved, he saw Shui Gao blocking his way. Only then did Xiao Chen stop. Chapter 889. Luckily, his movements were small, and everyone's attention was on Zheng Shiding and Tian Souring, so no one noticed him. You don't slander me. Zheng Shiding's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly explained to Ling Qianyu. Qianyu, don't listen to that Shui guy's nonsense. I will definitely treat you well in the future, and I won't use violence. Don't worry. If you don't believe me, I can swear. Zheng Shiding, who was busy explaining, was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He cursed in his heart. That damn B*TCH must have colluded with Shui Gao. She purposely provoked me to hit him. and wanted me to embarrass myself in front of Ling Qianyu. I must find someone to teach that B*tch a lesson. Zheng Shiding didn't think that if he hadn't mocked her as a prostitute, Tian Souring wouldn't have retorted. In his eyes, it was all her fault. Zheng Shiding, what nonsense are you talking about? I have nothing to do with you. I just want to have a meal with my classmates. Can you not cause trouble? Ling Qianyu frowned, and her face was very unfriendly. She hated Zheng Shiding to death. This guy dared to spout nonsense in front of everyone in the cafeteria. If anyone really took it seriously and spread it, there would be trouble. Yes. Let's eat first. Zheng Shiding thought he had caught Ling Qianyu's main point, which was to hint that he shouldn't quarrel in public. He quickly wiped the beads of sweat off his forehead and shouted to the waiter, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and open up the private room, and ask the chef to make some dishes. Don't dawdle, hurry up. Can't you see that we are all hungry?" The waiter, who was standing dumbly at the side, suddenly came to his senses. He didn't dare to delay, and nodded repeatedly. He was just an employee, and he couldn't afford to offend anyone. He could only do as Zheng Shiding said, and turned around to leave. "Wait!" Shui Gao blocked the waiter's path, and said with a sullen face, "What do you mean? I paid $1,000 as a deposit for this private room. How dare you transfer it to him without permission? Did you ask for my permission? Do you believe that I won't lodge a complaint against you? Damn it. Stop pretending to be a big-tailed wolf. Isn't it just 1,000 yuan? Zheng Shiding took out a stack of cash from his pocket and handed it to the waiter. He said casually, "Take it. Here's $5,000. Return that kid's deposit to him, and pay him another $1,000 as compensation for his brain damage. The rest of it will be food money." As Zheng Shiding spoke, he pointed at Shui Gao with his chin and snorted contemptuously. "Do you think I'm a beggar? I'll pay 10,000. This private room belongs to me. You have 1 minute to leave." At this moment, Shui Gao no longer cared about his image as an ice cream senior. He gnashed his teeth and roared. Would he be afraid of competing in terms of wealth? He and Zheng Shiding were both direct descendants of a large family in Lan City. Their families were strong and powerful, so they could spend as much money as they wanted. Most importantly, Shui Gao was also a stage for inner force martial artist. "I'll pay 20,000. I'll pay 30,000. The two of them argued until their faces turned red. As the onlookers, Xiao Chun and the others stared at the two of them, as if they were idiots. They must have not taken their medicine before going out. Ling Qianyu and Cheng Minjing looked at each other, and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. Then they smiled at the same time. The two of them seemed to have become closer, because of their common hatred for a common enemy. Su Chuxia lowered her head, as if she wanted to stare at the floor of the cafeteria. On the other hand, Tian Suruan was looking around in boredom. She wanted to see if there were any good-looking guys in Lan City University's cafeteria, but she was sure that Xiao Qiangshui wasn't there, so she decided to forget about it. When her gaze landed on Jia Muzhen's face, she couldn't help but be stunned. Jia Muzhen felt Tian Suruan's gaze and looked over as well. Their eyes met. For some reason, Tian Suruan suddenly hid behind Su Chuxia and hid her face. Seeing that Tian Suruan wasn't looking at him anymore, Jia Muzhen also retracted his gaze. However, he felt a little strange. That sexy beauty just now seemed rather familiar. Where had he seen her before? However, Jia Muzhen quickly shook his head and denied his own thoughts. He had just arrived at Lan City University, so how could he have seen her before? Perhaps there was a certain tan female star who looked very similar to Tian Suruan in the Japanese action movies he watched in the past. That was why he felt a sense of déjà vu. "I say, young masters, we're still hungry. How about this, let's eat together? Anyway, the private room is big enough for so many people to sit in. Why don't we just use the money to eat?" Zheng Shiding and Shui Gao were still raising the price. Xiao Chen couldn't stand it anymore and spoke up to stop them. The two of them finally stopped bidding. They felt that Xiao Chen's words made sense when they thought about it. After all, they were both descendants of aristocratic families with deep pockets. Who was short of money? If they continued bidding like this, it would be pointless even if the sky turned dark. Moreover, The purpose of the two of them bidding was to treat their goddess to a meal. At this moment, they finally realized that Ling Qianyu, Su Chuxia, and Tian Suruan all had ugly expressions on their faces. They seemed to be on the verge of exploding. What was the point of bidding then? Hurry up and eat. Making their goddess happy was the most important thing at hand. All right. For the sake of junior brother, this young master won't argue with you today. Zheng Shiding waved his hand and walked directly toward Ling Qianyu. He politely invited her and Cheng Minjing into the private room. Ling Qianyu couldn't be bothered to say anything more. Since Xiao Chun had come to mediate, she and Cheng Minjing didn't object. They walked toward the direction of the private room. Jia Muzhen secretly gave Xiao Chun a thumbs up and followed. Humph! Shuigao snorted coldly. This private room originally belonged to this young master. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll allocate some seats to you. After he finished speaking, he quickly beckoned Su Chuxia and Tian Suruan into the private room. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to get a good seat if he was late. Su Chuxia originally wanted to reject him, but considering that there was really no other place to eat, she had no choice but to accept Shuigao's invitation. However, the waitress was a little depressed. When Zheng Shiding and Shuigao were bidding against each other, she was still hoping to earn more money. Originally, if the price was really raised, she would have gotten a lot of commission. In the end, she didn't even get a single cent. If she had known earlier, she would have agreed to Zheng Shi's 5,000 yuan. Waitress, come over here. I'll order. Xiao Chun stood at the door of the private room and called out to the waitress. The waitress came back to her senses and hurried over. She didn't have the life to become rich, so it was better for her to be a waitress. After everyone sat down in the private room, Xiao Chun walked in after ordering the dishes. He casually stood in front of the table and said, I've already ordered the dishes. The two young masters were very generous just now, but in order to show your sincerity and generosity, please take out all the cash you have on you. Otherwise, if you don't have money and want to act shamelessly after the meal, everyone will look down on you. Of course, Shuigao and Zheng Shiding hurriedly nodded. How could they dare to say that they weren't sincere and generous? Moreover, when it was time to pay the bill, the two of them might fight again. It was better to put the money together now. The two of them dug into their pockets, and not only did they put all their money on the table, but they also asked the men behind them to take out their spare cash. Not long after, the table was filled with a thick stack of cash. Oh, it seems like the two young masters are very generous. Not bad, not bad. In order to prevent the two of you from going back on your words and withdrawing your investment, I'll take care of the money first. After dinner, I'll pay the bill. The students here can be the notary, is that okay? Xiao Chen's hands were very fast. Without waiting for the two of them to agree, he said as he put all the money on the table into his own pocket. Of course. Of course. Shuigao and Zheng Shiding were too embarrassed to object. Since they had already taken out the money, why would they care about who they put it in? Moreover, their goddesses were watching from the side. They definitely couldn't act too cowardly. Otherwise, how could they raise their heads in front of their goddesses in the future? The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth rose slightly. In his heart, he despised Shuigao and Zheng Shiding. These two idiots really want to save face and suffer. It seems like when I don't have money in the future, I can find another opportunity to cheat them. Not long after he put the money away, the waiters served the dishes one after another. After standing for so long, everyone was so hungry that their chests were sticking to their backs. No longer polite, they raised their chopsticks and attacked the dishes in front of them. Among them, Xiao Chun and Tian Suruan ate the most. They completely disregarded their table manners and gobbled down the food like hungry tigers. Junior Chuxia, after lunch, I'll show you around the campus, okay? Since you're new here, I'm sure you're not familiar with the environment of Lancheng University. I happen to have some time, so I'll be your tour guide. Shuigao put on a gentlemanly smile and volunteered to Su Chuxia. Based on Shuigao's judgment of girls, he felt that Su Chuxia was definitely not a gold digger. It was impossible to win a girl's heart with money. The only way to win her heart was to take it one step at a time and create an image of a gentle and considerate senior. As for Tian Suruan, it might be easier. All he had to do was treat her to a few good meals and buy her some luxurious items. Therefore, Shuigao pondered for a while and decided to start with the harder one. Just as Su Chuxiao was considering how to decline, Tian Suruan suddenly spoke up. Chuxia, Sister Suruan wants to eat that braised beef. Can you help me turn the dish over? Suruan, eat slowly. No one's fighting with you over it. Su Chuxia took the opportunity to change the topic. She glanced at Tian Suruan and reached out to turn the glass dish on the table. Su Chuxia watched as Tian Suruan nibbled on a fried chicken drumstick with her left hand and stuffed a piece of beef into her mouth with her right hand. She looked as if she hadn't eaten for days. Su Chuxia couldn't help but find it funny and annoying at the same time. Chapter 890. Why isn't anyone fighting with me? Look at that damn otaku across from me. He's eating even harder than I am. He's almost finished that plate of beef. If I don't turn around, I won't be able to eat anymore. Tian Suruan pointed at Xiao Chun and said angrily, Hey, who are you? Are you a pig? I haven't even eaten that plate of braised pork ribs. You're here to freeload, yet you're so shameless. Sister Suruan really has to give it to you. Oh, you're here to freeload too, right? How dare you talk to me like that? Xiao Chun's mouth was stuffed with food as he retorted in a muffled voice. He then grabbed a piece of braised pork ribs and started gnawing on it. He then pushed the plate and spun another plate of double-cooked pork in front of him. He picked up his chopsticks and started eating. You're pissing me off. You brat. How dare you snatch the food that Sister Suruan wants to eat? Tian Sour was so angry that he spun the wheel with all his might. In the end, he heard a bang, and the big bowl of hot and sour soup on the table was knocked over. It landed directly between Zheng Shiding's thighs. Ouch! Caught off guard, Zheng Shiding had no time to dodge. His lower body was almost cooked by the boiling hot soup, but he was too embarrassed to touch it with his hands. He could only stand up and wriggle unnaturally as he wailed in pain. Water! Quick, give me water! Hearing Zheng Shiding's pained cries, Xiao Chun, who was closest to him, put down the food in his hands. He picked up a pot of boiling water from the corner and rushed over. He then opened the lid and splashed the water all over Zheng Shiding's lower body. Ah! Zheng Shiding had already shaken off the soup on his pants. In the end, he was scalded by the boiling water and screamed in pain. He fell to the ground, clutching his lower body. His face was pale and twisted as he hissed and gasped. Brat! How dare you splash young Master Zheng with boiling water? Are you looking for death? On the other side, the monkey-like follower was shocked. He quickly ran over to help Zheng Shiding up and scolded Xiao Chun loudly. He said he wanted water. There was only a pot of water nearby, and I didn't know if it was boiling or cold water. The situation was so urgent, how could you blame me? Xiao Chun shrugged and said innocently. Never mind, never mind. Little brother Xiao did not do it on purpose. It's my fault for not being clear. Zheng Shiding said through gritted teeth. He was glad that he was a stage 4 inner force martial artist. Otherwise, his little brother would have been crippled. After being helped up by the pointy-mouthed monkey-like underling, Zheng Shiding saw that his clothes were a complete mess, and that a certain part of his body was still aching. It seemed that he would not be able to finish the meal, but he did not want to give up the opportunity to eat with his goddess, Ling Qianyu. He could only force a smile and said, You guys eat first. I'll go back and change my clothes before coming back. Although Shuigao was ignored by Su Chuxia, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. When he came in just now, he wanted to switch places with Zheng Shiding, so that he could chat with Su Chuxiao up close. Fortunately, he didn't do that. Otherwise, he would be the one in trouble. Ding dong! Ding dong! Looking at Zheng Shiding's back as he left the private room, Shuigao thought about asking Su Chuxia out again. However, before he could say anything, he suddenly heard the announcement from the school's broadcasting station. Dear students, we are now broadcasting an announcement. We are sorry to learn that our student Lu Runmao passed away early this morning, due to a terminal illness. Although Lu Runmao knew that he was ill, he continued to study in the hospital. He is our role model for learning and our thirst for knowledge. In order to let everyone learn from Lu Runmao's spirit, the school has decided to organize a memorial ceremony. All students, Please wear your school uniform, gather at the school gate at 2 p.m. sharp, and take a bus to the funeral home. If there are any special circumstances, please apply for leave from your tutor. Those who do not show up for no special reason will have 10 credits deducted. All class leaders please inform each other. Again. After hearing the announcement, Shuigao was puzzled. Although the school would organize some activities every year that required group participation, it had never been so strict. This time, those who did not go would have their credits deducted. Wasn't they trying to kill themselves? As a hedonistic son of a rich family, Shuigao spent most of his time playing around and picking up girls. He rarely studied, so he did not have many credits. He only got his credits by asking people to make cheat sheets during exams. In order to maintain his image as senior Shuigao, he naturally would not violate the school's rules. Although he did not want to go, he was the class leader, so he had to go. Why is it so troublesome? Shuigao raised his wrist to look at his watch. It was already 1:30. He could only helplessly say, "Chuxia, I'm really sorry about today. I'm the class leader, and I have to organize activities for the students. I'll treat you guys to a meal another day." After saying that, Shuigao stood up and ran out without looking back. Anyway, all his money was with Xiao Chun, so paying the bill was none of his business. Since everyone is done eating, I'll go out and settle the bill. It'll be troublesome if I can't make it in time for the school activities. Seeing that it was almost time, Xiao Chun left the private room with the money and went to the counter to pay the bill. "Chuxia, wait for me at the entrance of the cafeteria. I'll be right back after I use the restroom." Tian Sauer rolled her eyes and stood up. Without waiting for Su Chuxia's reply, she ran out behind Xiao Chun. "Yao Yao, I'm going back to the dormitory to change as well. You guys are freshmen, so you don't need to wear school uniforms. Let's meet outside the school gates." Ling Qinyu also needed to change, so she left first. Although the meal was not very enjoyable, Ling Qinyu did not mind. After all, she was going to be Cheng Yaoyao's roommate in the future. If she wanted to eat, there would be plenty of opportunities. The remaining 3 people in the private room looked at each other and smiled helplessly at the same time. They did not say much and simply exchanged a few words before leaving. "Student, after the discount, the total cost is 2,000 yuan. This is the bill, please check it." The waiter handed over a bill and placed it in front of Xiao Chun. "Oh, there's no need to check it. There's no problem with the bill." Xiao Chun waved his hand nonchalantly. He ordered 2,000 yuan and passed it to the waiter. Just as he was counting the rest of the money, he felt someone pat his shoulder. He turned around and saw that it was Tian Sauer. "Hey, this money should be at least half of Sister Sauer's, right?" Tian Sauer stared at the thick stack of money in Xiao Chun's hand. Her eyes were almost shining. "Why should I give it to you?" Xiao Chun found it funny, but he asked seriously on the surface. He even showed a trace of doubt at the right time. Sister Sauer was scolded. "If it wasn't for Sister Sauer, you wouldn't have been able to get so much money, right? Be sensible. I don't think you're stupid. You should know the rules, right?" Tian Sauer said casually. "Oh, then I'll give you 1/10. Xiao Chun said half-jokingly. After all, Tian Sauer was not an outsider. In the past, he would have given all the money to her. However, he was in need of money now, so he could not be so generous. "No way." Tian Sauer shook her head and rejected. "Sister Sauer sacrificed so much. You should at least give me half to comfort my broken heart. Since you sound so pitiful, then I'll give you 1/3. No more than that," Xiao Chun said with a smile. "Then we'll both take a step back and give Sister Sauer 2/5. No less than that, or Sister Sauer won't let you off." Seeing that Xiao Chun would not budge no matter what and his tone was firm, Tian Sauer could only make what she thought was the biggest concession. All right. You're really a miser." Xiao Chun smiled and shook his head. He counted the money and passed it to Tian Sauer. "What did you say?" Tian Sauer only cared about the money and did not listen carefully. She thought that Xiao Chun was teasing her. "Nothing. I said you're pretty, okay?" Xiao Chun said helplessly. This Tian Sauer only knew how to stare at money. She was about to dig her way into the money. Don't think Sister Sauer doesn't know that you want to pursue me, right?" Let Big Sister Sour Sour tell you. Don't mention that you already have a girlfriend. Big Sister Sour Sour also has a boyfriend. If you dare to be so cocky, I'll let him punch you to death. Do you believe me? Tian Sour Sour glared and waved her little fist. Oh, that's amazing. I believe you. Xiaochen shrugged and muttered in his heart. Am I crazy? Kill me with a punch. At least you know what's good for you. Seeing that you're willing to pay, Sister Sour will let you see an enchanting back. When you go back, imagine your girlfriend to look like Sister Sour and make love to her. What a waste. Tian Sour kept the money and waved her hand. She swayed her hips and walked down the stairs. Her figure was as attractive as ever. The boys around her almost had a nosebleed. However, Xiaochen thought, Missy isn't any worse than you. It's just that her figure isn't as good as yours. If I were to do that with her, I wouldn't have imagined her to look like you, right? Young Master Zheng, do you have any extra uniforms? I don't think I can find mine. After sending Zheng Shiding to the parking lot, the monkey-like underling remembered the broadcast and asked weakly. Like hell I do. Who would have more of those ugly clothes? Think of a way yourself. I need to get a custom-made set quickly. Zheng Shiding said impatiently. He left the underling beside him and drove off in his sports car. A custom-made set? Where would we find the time to make a custom-made set? Can't we just borrow a set from someone else? I don't know what young Master Zheng is thinking. The underling shook his head in confusion. However, he did not dare to ask further and hurried to borrow the uniform. Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing walked out of the cafeteria and went straight to the school gate to gather. They were still freshmen and did not have uniforms. The school naturally would not force them to do so. Ling Qinyu returned to the dormitory and changed into her uniform before rushing to the school gate to meet up with Xiao Chun and the others. They got on the school bus and went to the nearby funeral parlor. Lanqing University's female uniform is quite nice. I thought it would be as old-fashioned as our Songning Second High School's uniform. I didn't expect it to be a fashionable sailor uniform. This is the first time I'm looking forward to wearing a school uniform, Cheng Minjing said enviously as she looked at Ling Qinyu's sailor uniform. Chapter 891. She had never worn a sailor suit in her entire life. In the past, she heard that only schools in Japan had this kind of clothing, but she didn't expect Lanqing University to have it too. Yeah. Xiao Chen looked at Ling Qinyu's fair thighs and couldn't help but let his imagination run wild as he answered absent-mindedly. Although he had already seen her body, he didn't expect this little girl to have a different flavor in a sailor suit. It was especially tempting. What are you thinking about? You're almost drooling. You look like a pig, so disgusting. Cheng Minjing said with a face full of disdain. She muttered in her heart, I don't see Xiao Chen staring at me like this when I usually wear a short skirt. I really don't know what's going on in his head. Stinky pervert. Cough cough. Everyone loves beauty. How can it be called disgusting? This is called appreciation. Xiao Chen subconsciously swallowed his saliva and weakly defended himself. Stop it. I think you're just being cheap. You must have feelings for senior sister Ling Qinyu. Otherwise, why would you sit in the same school bus as her? Cheng Minjing snorted and said in a low voice. Didn't I follow you up? Xiao Chen said with an innocent face. However, he still withdrew his gaze and stopped staring at Ling Qinyu. Otherwise, the miss would definitely explode. TSK. Only a ghost would believe you. Cheng Minjing gave Xiao Chen a big eye roll and turned her head to look at the scenery outside the bus. She couldn't be bothered to bicker with Xiao Chen anymore. Half an hour later, a group of school buses stopped outside the funeral parlor. Students from different majors were looking for their major's counselors to sign in. Meanwhile, Xiao Chun and the others directly signed in the freshmen's books. Anyway, as freshmen who had just entered the school, it didn't matter if they came or not. No one would purposely check on them. Are Shui Gao and Zheng Shiding from the XX major here? Basically all the students had their names taken. One of the counselors with the surname, Zhao, took a few steps forward and shouted, Are Shui Gao and Zheng Shiding here? If you don't come, your points will be deducted. After shouting for a while, Counselor Zhao still didn't see the two appear. He shook his head and was about to write down their names when he heard a loud engine sound coming from afar. Everyone looked up in surprise when they heard the sound. On the road not far away, a red Ferrari sports car and a black Lamborghini sports car were driving over at lightning speed. The two cars seemed to be competing with each other as they advanced side by side. Then, with a beautiful drift, they stopped steadily in front of the funeral home. The car doors opened at the same time, and Shui Gao and Zheng Xiding jumped out of the two cars. Their movements were synchronized, and they both took something out of the car and quickly ran towards Counselor Zhao. Wait! Counselor Zhao, please be lenient. I only went to prepare the clothes. I was not absent. Please don't give me a demerit. Shui Gao ran until he was out of breath. He was so tired that he looked like a grandson. His skin, which was originally like ice cream, was now as white as paper. I'm not absent either. Please be merciful. Zheng Xiding was also in a hurry. He ran to Counselor Zhao and panted heavily. Shui Gao, Zheng Xiding, are the two of you deaf? Didn't you hear what the radio said? Counselor Zhao looked at the two of them, and his eyes were about to bleed. He shouted at the top of his lungs. I heard it. Didn't they ask us to wear mourning clothes to show our respect to our classmates? If it wasn't for the custom-made clothes, why didn't I catch the bus? Shui Gao replied with some confusion. Then he subconsciously glanced around and was stunned on the spot. They asked you to wear the school's uniform. Who asked you to wear mourning clothes? Look at you guys, you even made a banner. Don't you think it's embarrassing enough? Counselor Zhao was so angry that he almost fainted when he saw the banner on the two's shoulders. He clenched his teeth and said word by word. Didn't the radio say to wear mourning clothes? Zheng Xiding also realized that something was wrong. The other students around him were wearing the school's standard uniform. Only he and Shui Gao were different. They wore mourning clothes and wore mourning clothes. Their bodies were covered in white cloth, and they even had two banners made for them. Oh my God! Are these two guys' heads pierced? Do they think they have to wear mourning clothes at the funeral parlor? That's right. I think they're stupid. They can be considered the two weirdos of Lon City University. Oh my God, are they here to mess things up? Can they mess around like this just because their families are rich? They're too disrespectful. I'm going to take photos and post them on campus, WeChat Moments, and Weibo. I'm going to expose these two idiots' shameful acts. The surrounding students were a little angry. They took out their phones to take photos of the two and kept criticizing their behavior. It was supposed to be a good farewell ceremony, but these two actually made such a mess. Wasn't this not letting people leave with peace of mind? Counselor Zhao was so angry that his face turned purple. He pointed at the two and scolded while trembling. Go back and call your fathers over. I'd like to ask them how they managed to raise sons like you. This is a disgrace to the culture. They must have gone crazy from wanting to be famous. They actually did something like this. Don't they know what kind of environment they're in? What two idiots! Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, making the others even angrier. How could Shui Gao and Zheng Xiding not understand that they heard wrongly? The two were very embarrassed. They wished there was a hole in the ground to hide in. They stood there not knowing what to do. Although there were spare clothes in the car, they were surrounded by angry students and couldn't get out at all. Damn it! They're really too much. They're simply smearing the face of us Lon City University students. If we don't beat them up, we'll be letting down student Lu who passed away. Someone in the crowd shouted. Following that, two whooshing sounds were heard. Two bricks flew over and accurately hit the heads of the two filial sons. Shui Gao and Zheng Xiding howled in pain and held their heads. They were both martial artists, but they couldn't understand how their heads could be smashed by bricks. Blood flowed out uncontrollably. Right. We must beat them up. Everyone, let's go. The eyes of a few male students in the front row turned red. They waved their fists and took the lead to rush over. The rest of the students were also in high spirits. They swarmed over and started punching and kicking the two. Don't hit me. Ouch. Shui Gao could only feel the overwhelming number of punches and kicks coming at him. He could only cover his face with his hands and roll on the ground. Spare me. I was wrong. Ouch. Zheng Xiding still wanted to escape, However, the moment he lifted one of his legs, he was instantly knocked down. His begging voice was quickly drowned in the crowd. The few teachers present didn't react at first. Later, they realized that the situation wasn't good. They quickly rushed into the crowd to maintain order. If Shui Gao and Zheng Shiding were beaten up, the school wouldn't be able to escape responsibility. In fact, the ones who were really beating people up were the ones who took the lead. The rest of them were just stabbing and kicking occasionally. Therefore, the chaos at the scene was quickly brought under control. A few teachers pulled Shui Gao and Zheng Shiding out of the crowd and covered them as they left. These students are too cruel. How can they hit people? They even hit them with bricks. What if they accidentally killed them? Cheng Minjing, who was standing in the distance, frowned and said with lingering fear. She had always disliked this kind of violent behavior. Therefore, she didn't go near them. They are clearly disrespecting the dead. If they are beaten to death, they should be directly sent to the funeral parlor. Anyway, they are at the entrance. It will be easy to carry them in. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up. He smiled coldly and said, That's not right. I seem to have seen the 2 bricks fly in from outside the crowd. Could it be? Cheng Minjing held her chin and thought for a while. She suddenly raised her head and stared at Xiao Chen. You were the one who did it, right? I seem to have sensed a trace of essence energy coming from your body. Were you the one who threw those bricks? No matter what, Cheng Minjing was also a cultivator. Her 6 senses were quite strong. She didn't pay attention to it before, but now that she thought about it, she could naturally feel that something was wrong. Oh, it seems that you have made a lot of progress. You even know how to use your divine sense to explore the surroundings. You are indeed a good disciple that I have taught. Xiao Chen nodded seriously. He seemed to be very satisfied with Cheng Minjing's performance. Go to hell. I am not your disciple. I am a self-taught genius cultivator. No, I am an invincible super genius cultivator in the universe. Cheng Minjing said with a proud face. Well, you are a genius. Looking at the other students who had calmed down and began to line up one after another, walking into the funeral parlor to pay their respects, Xiao Chen said, Miss, let's go in too. Cheng Minjing didn't object. She had just been praised by Xiao Chen and was in a very good mood. She had already forgotten her previous suspicions and obediently followed him to line up at the back of the line. The entire funeral ceremony lasted for several hours before it ended. The school still sent the students back to Lan City University by bus. By the time they arrived at the school, it was already dinner time. Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing were tired after running around for the whole day. The 2 of them went to the cafeteria to eat something before returning to their respective dormitories. As soon as Xiao Chen entered the door, he saw Jia Muzin sitting on the bed. In his hand was an ancient martial arts manual, and he was reading it with great interest. Xiao Chen casually greeted him. He felt that he was unbearably tired from the past few days. He couldn't be bothered to look at the manual in detail. He directly went to his bed and fell asleep. Dong dong dong. Not long after he lay down, Xiao Chen was awakened by a series of knocks on the door. He was very puzzled. Who would come to visit so late at night? It couldn't be Miss Chung, right? Jia Muzin put down the book. Perhaps he was afraid of disturbing Xiao Chen's sleep, so he quickly ran over and opened the door. However, when he saw the person standing outside the door, he was stunned. It was actually Tian Suruan. Why is she here? Chapter 892. Ever since she saw Jia Muzin in the cafeteria at noon, Tian Suruan had been worried sick. She was also absent-minded during the memorial service in the afternoon. The more she thought about it, the more she felt that he might have recognized her. In fact, Tian Suruan had a secret in her heart. She had only mentioned it to Su Chuxia, and no one else knew about it. Originally, she had planned to talk to Xiao Chang about it, but in order to prevent Xiao Chang from being implicated, she decided to keep it a secret. From high school to university, as time passed, Tian Suruan felt more and more that her good days were numbered. She thought that she could spend her beautiful university days with Su Chuxia, but she didn't expect to bump into Jia Muzin right after entering university. This made her even more suspicious. After thinking about it for a long time, Tian Suruan finally couldn't suppress the doubts in her heart. She decided that she had to find out the truth. Otherwise, it would be too uncomfortable to keep it to herself. So at night, she found out Jia Muzin's dormitory and secretly came to his door. Hello, who are you looking for? After staring at Tian Suruan for a long time, Jia Muzin finally managed to speak. At this time, his heart was surging. He didn't expect that the sexy beauty, who had lunch with him in the cafeteria, would come to his door. Could it be that I got lucky with the ladies? No way. How could a beautiful woman like me, who has such a loser's appearance? She must be looking for Xiao Yi. But Xiao Yi has a girlfriend. He introduced her at noon, so she should know. Could it be that she wants to be a mistress? But Xiao Yi isn't that good looking. Sister Suruan has something to ask you. Don't be shy like a girl. Let's go in first. Jia Muzin was still standing there daydreaming, when Tian Suruan had already pushed open the door and swaggered in. Jia Muzin came back to his senses and quickly followed behind her. He thought to himself, so she has something to ask me? What is it? Could it be that she wants to ask me if I can be her boyfriend? Oh, isn't this miser Suruan? What business do you have in my dormitory? Although Xiao Chun was in the room, he could clearly hear the conversation outside the door. Originally, he subconsciously thought that he had been recognized by Tian Souring and was thinking about how to explain it. He did not expect that this chick was actually looking for Jia Muzin. Why are you here? Tian Shosho frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he suddenly realized, oh right. Sourly Sour Sis finally remembered. You're roommates with this four-eyed guy. Look at you, you already have a girlfriend. Why are you still living with a guy? Could it be that you're gay? Why are you asking so many questions? Are you alright? If there's nothing else, hurry back. Don't disturb my sleep in the middle of the night. Xiao Chun retorted snappily. However, he was a little puzzled. What was Tian Sour up to? It didn't seem like she had seen through him. Could it be that she really had something to talk to him about? Sleep your head. Tian Tang snorted and glared at Xiao Chun. You're not allowed to sleep. Sourly Sour Sis has something to ask that four-eyed guy. Go out and hide for a while. Go find your girlfriend and have a go or something. In short, don't be a hindrance here, do you hear me? What the heck, this is my dormitory. It's fine if you want me to go out and say something nice to me, but you're being so rude. Do you believe that I won't reject you? Xiao Chun pretended to be angry. He did not really want to argue with Tian Shosho. He just wanted to tease her. He wanted to know why she was looking for Jia Muzin. Didn't the two of them just meet today? Could it be that Tian Shosho has fallen in love with someone else? Although the two of them were faking it, Xiao Chun still felt a little uncomfortable when he thought about it. That was why he asked so forcefully. You're not leaving? Do you think that if I shouted molest, would people come and surround me? This is the male dormitory. Tian Shosho did not care about Xiao Chun's anger. She purposely unbuttoned her collar and took 2 steps forward to threaten him. You win, let's wait and see. Looking at Tian Shosho's ferocious expression, Xiao Chun was speechless. He pretended to speak fiercely and walked out of the dormitory, not forgetting to close the door behind him. Hearing Xiao Chun's footsteps getting further and further away, Tian Shosho finally buttoned up her collar in satisfaction. She then stared at Jia Muzin with a serious expression. Pretty lady, why are you looking for me? What do you want to ask me? I don't think we've met before? Jia Muzin initially thought that he had a romantic encounter, but Tian Shosho's dangerous gaze made his hair stand on end. When had he ever encountered something like this before? He waited for a long time, but the other party did not speak. He could only break the silence and ask cautiously. Four-eyed guy, do you know me? Don't try to lie. Sister Sourly Sour isn't that easy to fool. Tian Shosho took a deep breath and asked unhurriedly. Her eyes were fixed on Jia Muzin's face. Jia Muzin was immediately dumbfounded. After being stunned for a long time, he hesitantly asked. That? I still don't quite understand. What do you mean? Can you explain it more clearly? F***CKme, why are you so stupid? Sister Sourly Sour just wants to know if you've seen me before. Don't you understand? Did you get into a university? Don't tell me you bought the letter of acceptance? Tian Shosho explained once more speechless. Of course I don't know you. I've only been reporting to Lon City University for a few days. Moreover, I've never lived in Lon City before. Today is the first time I've seen you. How could we have met before? Jia Muzin explained with a blank expression. He was indeed very puzzled. He did not understand why Tian Shosho would ask such a question. Then why did you stare at Sister Sourly Sour so lecherously this afternoon at the canteen? Could it be that you have some ulterior motives towards Sister Sourly Sour? Although Jia Muzin did not seem to be lying, Tian Shosho was still a little worried. She persisted in her questioning. At that time, I only felt that you looked a little familiar. However, after thinking about it for a while, I don't have any impression of you. Could it be that we've really met before? Jia Muzin pushed up his spectacles and pondered for a while. However, he still could not recall anything, and could only say so. He could not possibly say that he thought Tian Shosho looked like Avril, right? Although the sexy beauty in front of him looked a little familiar, and seemed to have an impression in his mind, judging from her accent, she should be a standard Lon City citizen. Jia Muzin's first impression was that he should not know her. Oh no, Sister Sourly Sour is just here to warn you. Don't even think about pursuing Sister Sourly Sour. I already have a boyfriend. Not only is he tall and handsome, he's also highly skilled in martial arts. He can kill you with a single punch. Tian Shosho was instantly reassured when she heard Jia Muzin's words and said proudly. However, when she recalled Xiao Chang, she also faintly felt a little regretful. Sigh, Sister Sourly Sour's boyfriend. Don't you know how much Sister Sourly Sour misses you? If you still don't show up, Sister Sourly Sour might not be able to see you anymore. I don't have such thoughts really. Jia Muzin felt depressed when he was warned instead of having a romantic encounter. He had no choice but to reply helplessly with a sullen expression. Oh, then it's fine. Go find a girlfriend. Masturbating all day isn't good for your body, and it also affects your eyesight. That's it, you useless 4 eyes. Tian Shosho's matter was settled, and she couldn't be bothered to stay any longer. She waved her hand and turned to leave the dormitory. Xiao Chen actually didn't go far. He was leaning against the door and waiting. He happened to hear the conversation between the two clearly. When he heard Tian Shosho bid farewell to Jia Muzin and was about to leave, he hurriedly ran to the stairs and pretended to have just returned. You're done so quickly? I didn't expect you to be such a quick shooter. I really feel sorry for your girlfriend. After opening the door and taking 2 steps, Tian Shosho saw Xiao Chen walking over and couldn't help but pout. On the surface, Xiao Chen couldn't be bothered with her. However, he smiled bitterly and shook his head in his heart. This Tian Shosho was still the same as before. She was always so neurotic. When others took a few more glances at her, she would think that the person liked her. She really felt good about herself. However, Xiao Chen didn't think much of it. He was dead tired. When he returned to the dormitory, he didn't plan to gossip with Jia Muzin. Instead, he continued to cover his head and sleep. The next morning, Xiao Chun and Jia Muzin called Cheng Minjing and came to the classroom. Today was the day the freshmen's military training would begin, so they had to wake up early to report. As soon as they stepped into the classroom, they discovered that there were 2 more students in the class. They looked at each other with puzzled expressions. However, the one who was most surprised was still Xiao Chen. This was because he recognized at a glance that the 2 extra people were actually the Chick Xing and Ling Qianxue. Why did they come to Lon City University? Moreover, they also registered for the ancient martial arts major. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? Could it be that his whereabouts were exposed? That new student looks quite familiar. I seem to have seen him somewhere before. Jia Muzin suddenly muttered to himself. Then, he carefully sized up the Chick Xing for a while, and frowned as he tried to recall. Xiao Chen was stunned. What kind of situation was this? Could it be that Jia Muzin was mistaken? How could he possibly know the Chick Xing? Just as Xiao Chen was about to open his mouth to ask, Professor Zhong rushed in and said loudly, "Students, the first-year military training officially begins today. In 10 minutes, please go to the field to collect your uniforms and cloth shoes, and report to the instructor." Xiao Chen hurriedly sat down with Jia Muzin and Cheng Minjing. Professor Zhong looked at the name list in his hand, then raised his head to look at the Chick Xing and Ling Qianxue. He said, "Today there are 2 new students. They are Xing Gongzi and Ling Qianxue, right? You two introduce yourselves." "Hello everyone, I am Xing Gongzi." The Chick Xing stood up and briefly introduced herself. Then she sat down expressionlessly. The temperature in the entire classroom dropped by several degrees. The Chick Xing did not deliberately disguise herself this time, but she still appeared in men's clothing. The reason why she was able to enter this major was because she found the person who had actually taken the ancient martial arts major, but had yet to report. Then she gave him 1,000,000 yuan. Chapter 893. Under the threat of money and force. The man took the money and naturally didn't come to class anymore. He gave his spot to Xingyu. Originally, the school wouldn't agree to this kind of substitution, but it couldn't stop Xing's strong background. Before she came, she directly used her sex connections in the secular world to find the person in charge of Lancheng University and gave the school a discount on some loan interest. In this way, the school couldn't be more grateful to her. So why would they bother with such trivial matters? Naturally, they smoothly agreed to her admission request, and specially made a dormitory for Xing and Ling Qianxue. Ling Qianxue was quite polite. She smiled at the others and said enthusiastically, "Hello, students. I'm Ling Xiaoxue, Xing Gongzi's girlfriend. Strictly speaking, I'm not a freshman. I'm just here to accompany you. Please take care of me in the future." Although Ling Qianxue's attitude was enthusiastic, on the contrary, other than Cheng Minjing and Jia Muzhen, who nodded at her in a friendly manner and greeted her, everyone else had a lukewarm attitude. Those who were cold continued to be cold, and those who were reading continued to lower their heads to read. Xiao Chen already knew that they were here for him, so he couldn't be bothered to respond. Professor Zhong saw that no one was interested in meeting new students, so he didn't say much. After a few simple words, he left in a hurry. Seeing that it was almost time for military training, everyone went to the field to gather. For ordinary freshmen, military training could be called a nightmare. After a few days of training, students from other faculties fainted or fell sick from heat exhaustion. However, for Xiao Chen's major, military training was a small matter. They were all ancient martial arts enthusiasts, so there was no problem in terms of physical fitness. Although they were exposed to the sun and training, they were still in high spirits and didn't seem tired at all. That being said, Xiao Chen looked absent-minded throughout the military training. He couldn't lift his spirits no matter what he did. He saw that Xing Chit came to him so quickly, and a strong sense of crisis arose in his heart. Since she could find him, Ma Baizhu, that idiot, would find him sooner or later. It wouldn't be long before he ran away with Cheng Minjing. What made Xiao Chen most depressed was that he repeatedly recalled the entire process of his escape. After thinking for a long time, he still felt that he shouldn't have been followed. Furthermore, after arriving at Lan City, he had only contacted Xia Zhili. Xia Zhili could not have leaked the news, so where exactly did the problem lie? "Xiaoyi, what's wrong with you? I called you a few times today, but you ignored me. What are you thinking about?" At the end of the military training in the evening, Cheng Minjing wanted to ask Xiao Chen to have dinner together, but she didn't expect him to sit on the side of the field in a daze, looking like he had something on his mind. Hearing Cheng Minjing's voice, Xiao Chen raised his head, took a deep breath, and said solemnly, "Meng, Yao Yao, we might have to start running again. You better be mentally prepared. Don't run around if you have nothing to do these few days." "Ah, we've only been in Lan City for a few days. Why do we have to leave again? I've just entered university and haven't experienced enough life yet." Cheng Minjing was stunned at first, then disappointment filled her face. She originally thought that she would be able to stay longer in Lan City University this time, but she didn't expect that her hopes would be dashed again. "The 2 new students from our department are the ones who were watching us at the morning market street. I didn't expect them to come so quickly, so for safety's sake, we should make plans to leave as soon as possible." Xiao Chen sighed and shook his head helplessly. "But I don't want to run anymore. If we keep running like this, when will it be over? Moreover, I have to live in fear every day, afraid that someone will suddenly attack me. Don't tell me that I have to spend the rest of my life on the run? Chung Minjing frowned and murmured unhappily. In these few days, she had gradually adapted to university life, and even became good friends with Ling Qianyu, so she increasingly disliked the days of hiding. Sigh, there's nothing I can do. It's all my fault, my strength is too low. If only I had the cultivation of the peak of the Golden Core stage level 9, I wouldn't have to be afraid of that old man Ma Tianju. Hearing Chung Minjing's complaints, Xiao Chen's voice was a little bitter. If he was at the peak of the Golden Core stage level 9, it would be equivalent to the strength of the Devil King level 10. With the help of the fire of the underworld and Little Demonin, he would be able to confront Ma Tianju head-on. Chung Minjing also knew that Xiao Chun was telling the truth, but she was still very upset. She felt that not only Xiao Chun, but her strength was also too low. In the secular world, there was not enough heaven and earth spiritual energy for her to cultivate. Even if she wanted to join forces with Xiao Chun to fight against Ma Tianju, it would be very difficult to achieve. Not to mention joining forces, it was very likely that she would be dragging Xiao Chun down. Forget it, Missy, don't think so much. Anyway, let's observe for a few days first. From the looks of it, young Master Xing doesn't seem like a bad person. He's probably on our side. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped us escape last time. Seeing that Chung Minjing's expression wasn't too good, Xiao Chun could only open his mouth to comfort her. Chung Minjing did not say anything. First, she thought for a while, the expression on her face alternating between red and white. After a few minutes of silence, she took a deep breath, as if she had made an important decision. She bit her lower lip and intermittently uttered a voice like a mosquito. Xiao Yi, why don't we dual cultivate? Huh? What did you say? Xiao Chun asked casually. His attention was all on thinking about the countermeasures for the future. He vaguely heard Chung Minjing muttering a few words, but as for the content, he was completely unable to hear it clearly. I said let's dual cultivate tonight. Chung Minjing's face was as red as an apple. She lowered her head and kept rubbing the corner of her clothes as she softly repeated, "No way." Xiao Chun was startled, thinking that he had heard wrong. He quickly asked, "You've thought it through? I thought you had already forgotten about dual cultivation. I didn't think that you would take the initiative to bring it up." "Humph. Such an important matter, how could I forget? I'm not yet." Chung Minjing stammered for a long time, then simply glared at Xiao Chun and directly skipped this topic. "Hey, our strength is too low. If we don't quickly increase our strength, if Ma Laoja really comes, then we're dead for sure." Chung Minjing muttered in her heart. "Wasn't it because I couldn't accept being naked in front of you? That's why I was conflicted for so long. How could I have forgotten? If it wasn't because the current situation was not optimistic, Chung Minjing would not choose to dual cultivate to increase their strength. But if they stagnated and did not break through, when Ma Laoja came up with an inescapable trap, both of them would not be able to escape. Alright, since you've decided, then let's dual cultivate tonight. Let's go eat first." Xiao Chun thought for a while and said, "There's definitely no way to dual cultivate in the dormitory. How about this? Let's go to a hotel and get a room, lest we're discovered again. Anyway, we're a couple now. It's no problem to get a room." Chung Minjing rolled her eyes at Xiao Chun, but did not object. After the two went to the cafeteria for dinner, they went straight to the express hotel that they had stayed in before. They casually booked a cheap king-size bedroom and began to prepare for dual cultivation. However, when it came to the real start, Chung Minjing hesitated again. Although she was Xiao Chen's fiancée, she had never been fully prepared mentally. She could not muster up any courage to be honest with him. After stripping off her clothes in the bathroom, Chung Minjing's hand held the door handle. Her mind was full of thoughts like glue. She did not dare to open the door to meet Xiao Chun. She just stood there in a daze, and did not move for a long time. After waiting for a long time, seeing that Chung Minjing still did not come out, Xiao Chun was a little puzzled. He had to stand outside the bathroom and shouted, "Missy, are you ready? I've already hung up the curtain. You can come out at any time." Why are you in such a hurry? Anyway, You don't have to go back to the dormitory tonight. Can't you take it slow? You turn off the light first, and then check if there are any holes in the curtain. I'm telling you, don't even think about taking the opportunity to peek at my body. Chung Minjing was in a dilemma. When she was shouted by Xiao Chun, her heart was even more unsettled. She shouted shyly and anxiously. You can rest assured. I have carefully checked 3 times. There is no problem at all. The light is also turned off, Xiao Chun said with a smile. Then he walked back to the bed and sat down on the side of the curtain. Xiao Chun did not know whether to laugh or cry at Chung Minjing's cautiousness. If he had the intention to peek, he would have been able to see Chung Minjing clearly even in the pitch-black night, let alone with the curtain blocking his view. Oh, then I'm going out. You close your eyes first. Chung Minjing felt that it was not a good idea to stand in the same place, so she wrapped a bath towel around her body. She clenched her teeth and opened a gap in the door. After confirming that the light in the room was turned off, she summoned her courage and walked out carefully. Young miss, walk a little to the left, or you will hit the chair. Xiao Chun felt funny. It was dark, and young miss didn't know how to use her divine sense to explore the surrounding environment. She just bumped into him in a daze. If Xiao Chun didn't remind her, she would probably have to spend a lot of effort to walk to the bed. Ah, damn Xiao Chun stinking rogue, are you squinting your eyes to peek? Otherwise, how do you know where I am? Chung Minjing was shocked, but she still moved to the left according to his words. Her eyes were still staring in the direction of Xiao Chun. When she just came out of the toilet, she hadn't fully adapted to the darkness. It was dark in front of her, and she couldn't see anything clearly. Now she could vaguely see things. I say, you are also a cultivator. Why don't you release your divine sense to explore the way? Do you still remember your identity? It's really a waste of such an awesome skill, Xiao Chun said helplessly with black lines on his head. Chapter 894. That's right. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have thought of it. Chung Minjing came to a sudden realization. She quickly released her divine sense and successfully walked to the bedside. Staring at the curtain in the middle, Chung Minjing hesitated for a while. Suddenly her eyes lit up. She circulated her primordial qi and transformed a set of clothes on her body. Then, she slowly sat down and untied the bath towel on her body. She said slowly, "It's all done. Let's begin." Pft! Xiao Chun lifted the curtain and was about to extend his hand to touch Chung Minjing's palm when he suddenly saw the transformation effect on Chung Minjing's body. He almost burst out laughing. "What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Haven't you seen me wear such beautiful clothes?" Chung Minjing glanced at Xiao Chun and said angrily, "Indeed, I haven't seen it before." Xiao Chun shook his head seriously and said, "Missy, it's better not to transform. Otherwise, it will be slow to cultivate while releasing primordial qi." The reason why Xiao Chun said this was not because he wanted to see Chung Minjing's body, but because it was the truth. With her current cultivation level, to maintain the effect of the clothes on her body would consume a lot of primordial qi. So it would definitely affect the progress of her cultivation. No. What if you take the opportunity to peek? That's it. I think it's pretty good. Chung Minjing didn't even think about it and directly rejected Xiao Chun's proposal. Feeling helpless, Xiao Chun could only shut his mouth obediently. Actually, the clothes that the eldest young mistress conjured were only effective against low-level cultivators or ordinary people. Xiao Chun was already an expert at the pinnacle of the second level of the Golden Core realm. He could completely ignore this kind of child's play. It was as if he was looking at the emperor's new clothes. However, since Missy insisted, Xiao Chun was embarrassed to tell the truth. What if she knew and refused to cultivate again? After thinking about it, Xiao Chun decided to cooperate with Chung Minjing. He transformed a set of clothes on his body, but he could still see the eldest miss clearly. Since it was his first time seeing Chung Minjing's body, Xiao Chun subconsciously admired it for a while. The more he looked, the more restless he became. Slowly, Xiao Chun's line of sight began to move towards the eldest miss's smooth abdomen, and then gradually moved downwards. Suddenly, Xiao Chun felt a burning sensation in his abdomen. An evil thought kept lingering in his mind, and he seemed to be unable to control it. When Xiao Chen came to his senses, he was shocked. This was a sign of qi deviation. He hurriedly calmed his mind and used his primordial qi to forcefully suppress the turbulence in his body. He closed his eyes and no longer looked at the young miss in front of him. Only when his heart slowly calmed down did he officially begin dual cultivation with the young Mississippi. Xiao Chen silently wiped the sweat off his forehead. Holy **T. It was really too dangerous. Fortunately, the young miss didn't see any abnormalities in a certain part of my body. Otherwise, I would be in trouble today. However, when the two of them officially began dual cultivation, Xiao Chen suddenly discovered that compared to the slow speed of dual cultivation with Yi Xiaoya, the current dual cultivation with the young miss could be said to be at the speed of light. Since both of them were cultivators, there was no conversion or condensation process at all. The pure primordial qi passed through Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing's palms and circulated through their bodies a few times. After that, Cheng Minjing took the lead in breaking through and reached the first level of the building foundation stage. This rocket-like speed made Xiao Chen secretly click his tongue. Although he didn't break through that quickly, he could also feel that his strength was steadily rising. He couldn't help but feel happy in his heart. After 2 hours had passed, Xiao Chen also faintly felt that he had touched the barrier of the third level of the gold core stage. His spirit was greatly uplifted, and he couldn't help but speed up the primordial qi circulation. Every time he transferred more primordial qi into Cheng Minjing's body, the primordial qi also gradually increased. Xiao Chen, hurry up, give me more. Cheng Minjing, who had been infused with more primordial qi, didn't feel the slightest discomfort. Instead, she felt warm all over and very comfortable. She couldn't help but moan a few times. Xiao Chen was teased by the young miss's voice. His heart was itching. The desire that he had just suppressed was a little bit rekindled. In order to control the state of his body, he gradually slowed down the speed of his primordial qi transmission. Don't stop. Hurry up. Hurry up. Cheng Minjing was very anxious and repeatedly urged. Okay. Xiao Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, he also knew that the young miss was at a critical moment, so he could only nod his head. While controlling the evil thoughts, he increased the speed of the transmission. My body feels like it's going to melt. It's so comfortable. Feeling a warm current shuttling through her body, Cheng Minjing shouted loudly. Xiao Chen's face was waterfall of sweat. The young miss's shout was too easy to let people's imagination run wild. Fortunately, the location of this room was relatively close to the street. The roar of the passing vehicles could more or less cover her voice. Otherwise, it would be troublesome if the people next door heard it. At this time, Xiao Chen was extremely glad that they had booked a room in a hotel. If they had cultivated in the dormitory, maybe the dormitory manager would have directly come to the door. Cheng Minjing's shouting continued intermittently throughout the night, but fortunately, it was worth it. After this night, she had successfully promoted her cultivation to the peak of the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage. Originally, she wanted to continue cultivating, but the sky was already bright. She couldn't transform clothes for a long time, so she had to stop. Xiao Chen's cultivation speed wasn't that fast, but he had also advanced to the peak of the 3rd level of the golden core stage. Although there was still a little gap from the expected peak of the 9th level of the golden core stage, Xiao Chen was already very satisfied. When leaving the hotel, the receptionist at the front desk looked at Xiao Chen with ambiguous and awe-inspiring eyes. This man is awesome. He actually came for a whole night. His physical strength is really not for show. Although Xiao Chen roughly knew the meaning of the other party's look, he was sure that it was not a good look. He hurriedly paid the bill and pulled Cheng Minjing out of the hotel, as if he was escaping. After leaving the express hotel, Cheng Minjing felt refreshed. She didn't expect that in just a short night, she had already become an expert at the peak of the 8th level of the foundation establishment stage. This was equivalent to the strength of the Devil General. Cheng Minjing couldn't help but secretly sigh. It turned out that the dual cultivation was really so powerful. On the other hand, Xiao Chen's face was indifferent, as if he didn't care at all. In the past, when he was dual cultivating with Yi Xiaoya, his strength also rose slowly, so he wasn't very surprised. Instead, he was thinking about how to increase the speed of his cultivation. In fact, if he wanted to obtain the greatest benefits in the shortest time, it was nothing more than a fortuitous encounter, the use of heavenly treasures, or like before, XX with Yi Xiaoya in a special environment. Then his strength would advance by leaps and bounds. However, Xiaochen only dared to think about it. After all, it was already not easy to get the eldest miss to agree to dual cultivating with him. If he simply asked the eldest miss to do it with him, just to improve his strength, she would probably beat him to death. Unknowingly, the two of them had already walked into the school gate. Today the school seemed to be very lively. Many people ran around with a stack of papers in their hands, and when they saw someone, they would pull them to talk. Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing looked at each other, a little puzzled. Before the two of them had taken a few steps, a student holding a booklet in his hand saw them. After seeing Xiao Chun, his eyes lit up and he ran over. Xiao Chun took a step back subconsciously, but the student didn't notice it. He asked with enthusiasm, "Student, I am Dong Jiqi, the president of the martial arts club of this school. Are you interested in martial arts? Would you like to visit our club?" Xiao Chun was stunned. Only then did he remember that there seemed to be all kinds of clubs in the university. Every time a freshman enrolled, these clubs would recruit people everywhere to absorb fresh blood. It seemed that today was the day of recruitment. Looking at the person in front of him, Xiao Chun guessed that he should want to invite him to join some martial arts club. So he shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, I don't have the idea of joining a club for the time being." "Student, hey student, don't go first. I see that your physique is relatively small. If you can learn martial arts, you will definitely be a lot stronger. And you can also protect your girlfriend, right? This is the martial arts club's brochure. Why don't you think about it again?" Dong Jiqi pulled Xiao Chun, who was about to leave, took out a booklet, and forced it into Xiao Chen's hands. "Oh, my girlfriend is very strong. She doesn't need my protection for the time being. It's more like she can protect me, but thank you for your kindness," Xiao Chen said with a smile. In any case, the young miss was an expert of the demon general level, not to mention the secular world. Even in the outside world of martial arts, she could be ranked. Who would dare to provoke her for no reason? Wasn't that asking for trouble? Cheng Minjing glared at Xiao Chen and secretly pinched his arm. "What do you mean by strong? Are you saying that I am a masculine woman? Preposterous." "All right then, sorry for bothering you. If you change your mind, you can always come to the martial arts club to look for me." Watching the figures of Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing disappear into the distance, Dong Jiqi secretly sighed and turned his head to look at the Taekwondo club not far away. In contrast to him running around with the brochure, the Taekwondo club was as crowded as a marketplace. Many students were lining up to sign up. Seeing this scene, Dong Jiqi felt even more upset. In recent years, as traditional martial arts gradually declined in the secular world, it was replaced by various foreign martial arts that slowly became popular, such as Taekwondo, Karate, Muay Thai, and so on. All of these became the objects of pursuit of young people, and gradually formed a trend. On the other hand, the traditional martial arts of Great Xia were rarely sought after. Dong Jiqi grew up watching ancient martial arts television dramas. Even in his dreams, he dreamed of becoming a martial arts master with unique skills. So he had always been very passionate about traditional martial arts. When he entered Lancheng University, he found out that there was actually a martial arts club. Without thinking, he directly signed up for it, and even chose Xiao Chen's ancient martial arts research as his second major. But not long after, Dong Jiqi discovered that the members who joined the club at the same time as him began to withdraw from the club under the arduous training. Chapter 895. There were even some who simply disappeared, turning around to join the Taekwondo club and Karate club, which had simpler training. Only Dong Jiqi and a few other hardworking club members remained. "Senior Dong, can I join? Although I'm a girl, I'm definitely not worse than a guy." Dong Jiqi had just finished speaking when Cheng Minjing immediately raised her hand. He had missed a chance just now. He definitely couldn't waste it this time. Oh, then I'll go with you. Xiao Chun replied helplessly. Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing arrived at the classroom. Cheng Minjing found a corner and sat down. She pouted angrily and looked unhappy. However, joining a club wasn't too big of a problem. Now that Cheng Minjing had agreed to dual cultivation, the two of them would gradually increase their strength. Dong Jiqi didn't lie. The martial arts club did have martial arts manuals. However, this kind of small club in the secular world definitely didn't have the ability to obtain high-level manuals. Basically, they only had ordinary stuff. It was just that Dong Jiqi didn't know about it. Seeing the mistress's uncertain expression, Xiao Chun didn't know how he had offended her. He could only quietly sit beside her and didn't dare to ask. He lowered his head and casually flipped through the textbook. Dong Jiqi was stunned at first. He didn't expect the cold man to suddenly make a move. He didn't have time to prepare before he instantly felt a gust of energy rushing towards him. Since he could sign up for an ancient martial arts major, he should be very interested in martial arts. Rather than blindly trying to find someone under the hot sun, it would be faster and more effective to find someone according to their major. Fortunately, he had been practicing diligently. His reaction was faster than the average person. He quickly raised his hands to block. Okay, then it's a deal. The cold man nodded slightly. He stood up and rushed towards Dong Jiqi without saying anything. He waved his hand and slammed it heavily on Dong Jiqi's chest. That, Senior Dong, my girlfriend and I are also participating. My name is Xing Gongzi and my girlfriend is Ling Xiaoxua. Since Xiao Chun and Cheng Mingyao had signed up, Xing Gongzi naturally had to follow them. What you said makes sense. Let's go and try it out now. When Dong Jiqi heard this, he felt that it made sense. The remaining members were all ancient martial arts majors, so he directly followed Jia Muzin to the archaeology department's teaching building. But now, including Dong Jiqi, the entire martial arts club had a total of 4 members, one of whom had just joined a few days ago. Just as Xiao Chun was about to say something, he saw Jia Muzin bringing a familiar-looking senior into the classroom. It was the Wushu president Dong Jiqi. President Dong, you want me to join your club? It's very simple. Give me the position of vice president, and I'll join the club. Otherwise, there's no need to talk. The aloof man crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair. Sai, don't mention it. I didn't manage to recruit anyone either. It seems that our martial arts club will not be able to survive this time. Dong Jiqi sighed and said helplessly, Of course. All the secret manuals in the club can be read for free. Dong Jiqi nodded. Seeing Xiao Chun agree, Cheng Minjing's mood immediately improved. She smiled and said to Dong Jiqi, Senior, let's register. I'm Cheng Yaoyao, and he's Xiao Yi. Okay, I got it. Dong Jiqi was speechless. If he knew this Cheng Yaoyao was so tough, he would have directly changed his target to her and invited her to join the martial arts club. Not only would he succeed in one fell swoop, but he could also invite Xiao Yi. Wouldn't that save him a lot of trouble? Miss, it's not like you don't know our situation. We're in danger of being hunted at any time. For safety, I think it's better to keep a low profile to avoid any more trouble. Xiao Chun finally understood the reason why Miss was angry. He could only explain. Senior Dong, I've been shouting for a long time, but no one responded. How's the situation here? A voice came from afar. Dong Jiqi looked up and saw Jia Muzin running over. In his hand was a stack of martial arts club brochures. It turned out that Jia Muzin was the new member. But after Dong Jiqi looked carefully, he couldn't help but be stunned. The girl who raised her hand to register, wasn't it the young couple he met at the school gate? Originally, he wanted to recruit that boy into the club, but he didn't succeed. He didn't expect to meet him again here. It seemed that the boy wasn't lying when he said that this girl was strong. Xiao Yi, why did you reject that senior just now? I still want to find a club to join. Cheng Minjing sulked for a while. Seeing that Xiao Chun didn't ask why she was angry, she couldn't help but feel a little dissatisfied. However, the words of the cold man just now ignited Dong Jiqi's fighting spirit. He also wanted to see if the person in front of him had the qualifications to boast. So he decided to accept the challenge. It's okay. We practice martial arts. It's normal to have a bit of a temper. Dong Jiqi waved his hand and squinted his eyes to size up the cold man. If you can really defeat me, then don't mention being the vice president. Even if I let you be the president, it's not a problem. Although this girl who wanted to join the martial arts club was relatively ordinary, it was a great thing to have someone join. Are you talking to me? The boy who was reading raised his head and asked. Seeing Dong Jiqi nod, he thought about it and said, "What are the benefits of joining the martial arts club? Are there martial arts manuals to read?" She had heard about it when she was in high school. The clubs in the university were quite interesting. Just now when that senior came to recruit, she wanted to say yes, but she didn't expect Xiao Chun to directly reject him. He even said that she was a tough girl. I'm much gentler than Tang Tang. What tough girl? Jia Muzin walked to the podium and looked at the few students below him. Everyone, this is the president of our school's martial arts club. We are all students majoring in ancient martial arts. Does anyone want to join the martial arts club? Raising his head, Dong Jiqi saw two people sitting not far away from the classroom. Although one looked very cold, and the other had his head down to read a book and didn't pay attention to them, he regained his confidence and asked enthusiastically, "Those two students, are you interested in joining the martial arts club?" Just at the moment when the cold man struck, Xiao Chun, who was sitting in the corner, saw that he was actually at the peak of martial artist level 3. He was instantly shocked. In order for the club to survive, Dong Jiqi had to run out to recruit members while the freshmen started school. However, after running around and earnestly promoting the club for the whole morning, no one was interested. "Student, aren't you being too arrogant?" Jia Muzin, who had been standing at the side, couldn't take it anymore and stood out indignantly. He was now a member of the martial arts club. Seeing the president being provoked, he was naturally a little unhappy. In the second year, the previous president graduated. As the leader of the club, Dong Jiqi naturally took over the position of president. However, something that gave him a headache followed. What talisman is not in line with the rules? If you weren't a senior, I would have directly asked you for the position of president. The cold man snorted coldly and looked at Dong Jiqi with contempt. With a face full of arrogance, he said, "Isn't the president of the martial arts club the stronger one? If I want to defeat you, it'll be as easy as lifting a finger." "All right, then I'll join. My name is Kai Zhuwei." Hearing that there was a secret manual to read, the guy who was reading did not hesitate. After reporting his name, he lowered his head and continued reading. He didn't seem to care what kind of secret manual Dong Jiqi had. As long as it was a martial arts secret manual, it would be fine. The school had announced a rule in the new semester. Any club must recruit 10 members before it could continue to exist. Otherwise, it would be cancelled. "President, don't be discouraged. Why don't you try your luck in my class? After all, we're all freshmen majoring in ancient martial arts. Who knows, you might be able to recruit someone." Jia Muzin thought for a while and suggested, "Oh, of course." Dong Jiqi didn't expect someone to join so quickly. He was overjoyed, but also a little surprised. He didn't expect that there would be a female in the already unpopular ancient martial arts department. Moreover, there was more than one. Bang! A loud sound could be heard. Dong Jiqi was directly pushed by the cold man. Fortunately, his body was quite sturdy. Although he fell to the ground, it was only a scratch and nothing serious. "It's just some activities. What trouble can there be? If you don't want to accompany me, I'll just find my own club." Cheng Minjing twisted her body in a fit of pique and said gloomily, if there were no accidents, Xiao Chun felt that he should be able to reach the peak of Golden Core level 9 very quickly. At that time, he wouldn't have to worry about being careless anymore. "Xiao Yi, are you going? I'll give you another chance." Cheng Minjing stood up and asked in a condescending manner, I'm afraid this doesn't conform to the rules, right? If you want to be the vice president, you can go through the normal promotion channels." Before Dong Jiqi could finish his sentence, he was directly cut off by the cold man. Since he could become the president of the martial arts club, Dong Jiqi naturally had some skills in his hands. When he first joined the club, he was also full of passion and sparred with others. However, as time went by, he gradually matured and learned to respect the overall situation. and the impulse in his heart was gradually smoothed out. Hello everyone, my name is Dong Jiqi. Although our club is small, I believe that as long as the students are willing to join, we will definitely be able to work together to make the club great. Since everyone is in ancient martial arts department, you must be a little interested in martial arts. I hope the students will actively sign up, Dong Jiqi encouraged with a smile. Okay. Thank you so much. The martial arts club will definitely not let everyone down. Dong Jiqi didn't expect so many people to sign up for the ancient martial arts department. He couldn't help but register happily. He thought that as long as he recruited 2 more people, the club would not be expelled. Although she also felt that Xiao Chen's words made sense, she had already changed her appearance. If she was discovered, it would be the same even if she didn't join the club. Chapter 896. This guy is usually quiet, but I didn't expect him to actually have some strength. He hit it quite well. Could he be a disciple of an orthodox sect in the outer martial arts world? Cheng Menjing, who was sitting beside Xiao Chen, naturally saw it as well. She lightly touched Xiao Chen's elbow under the table, looking a little worried. Xiao Chen nodded slightly and gave Cheng Menjing a look, telling her not to be too nervous. Xing Chik and Ling Qianxue looked at each other and didn't say anything. Their expressions were very calm, and no one knew what they were thinking. Jia Muzhen, who was standing on the side, frowned. Although he hated the cold man, he couldn't do anything about it. After all, it was the president who accepted the challenge and was pushed down. As for Kai Zhuwei, he acted as if nothing had happened. He still lowered his head and read the secret manual, ignoring everything that happened in the classroom. You win. Dong Jiqi sat on the floor with a gloomy face. He didn't get up and shook his head. I lost the bet. I'll go back and arrange for the president's handover. The president position of the martial arts club is now yours. You lost, but I'm not interested in being the president. Let's do as we said before. The cold man crossed his arms in front of his chest, raised his chin, and revealed his 2 big nostrils. He looked around the classroom arrogantly and said, From now on, let me Wang Jingtian, the vice president, lead everyone and trample all the other martial arts clubs in the school. We'll carry forward our ancient martial arts club and become the #1 club in Lan City University. After saying that, Wang Jingtian glanced at Dong Jiqi and swaggered out of the classroom. No one knew what he was going to do. Senior Dong, are you all right? Do you need me to send you to the infirmary? Seeing that things had finally come to an end, Jia Muzhen hurriedly ran over and helped Dong Jiqi up to check his injuries. It's nothing. It's just a scratch. I really didn't expect that there would be such a powerful master among the ancient martial arts freshmen. I can rest assured with him in the club in the future. Dong Jiqi waved his hand and smiled bitterly. Although he was beaten, Dong Jiqi didn't hold a grudge against Wang Jingtian. Instead, he felt a little relieved. As the oldest club in Lan City University, the martial arts club often received challenges from other clubs, commonly known as challenge, despite its awe-inspiring name. The key was that in the past 2 years, Dong Jiqi was the only one in the entire martial arts club who was better at fighting. When the others sparred with others, they were basically beaten up. Dong Jiqi felt that with the addition of an expert like Wang Jingtian, the burden on his shoulders would be lighter. As for the position of vice president, since he had the strength, there was no harm in letting him take it. After saying a few words of encouragement, Dong Jiqi left the classroom and rushed to the student's office with the name list. Since there were enough members in the club, he had to report it to the school as soon as possible. Otherwise, he might accidentally cancel the club. The morning class ended very quickly. In the class, only Cheng Menjing and Jia Muzhen were relatively serious during class. The others had an indifferent attitude. After all, they didn't really come to the university to study, but each had their own purpose. Needless to say, there was no need to mention Xiao Chen. Xing Chik and Ling Qianxue kept whispering to each other. Kai Zhuwei had his head lowered and was reading. The aloof guy, Wang Jingtian, didn't come back after he went out. He skipped class. However, the teacher didn't care and continued the class as if he was already used to it. Xiao Yi, Do you have time at noon? As soon as the bell rang, the teacher walked out of the classroom. Jia Muzin turned around and asked, I heard that there's a student market near Lon City University. There's a lot of good food there. I'm planning to buy some daily necessities. Why don't we go and take a look? Sure. I'll go with you guys. I'm tired of the food in the cafeteria. It's a good time to change my taste. Before Xiaochen could reply, Cheng Minjing rushed to agree. She originally thought that the food in the university cafeteria would be good, but after eating a few times, she realized that it wasn't the case at all. It was terrible, not to mention the food cooked by Xiaochen. It was even worse than the food in Songning Second High School. The young miss wanted to eat something different now. She originally wanted to let Xiaochen cook personally, but this condition really didn't allow it. She could only settle for the next best thing. Alright, then let's go shopping. There's no important class in the afternoon anyway. Since the young miss had agreed, Xiaochen had no reason to object. He nodded and agreed. After leaving the school, the three went straight to the nearby market. This place was very close to Lon City University. During the day and night, it was as lively as Songning's morning market. Not only were there all kinds of snacks, but there were also some grocery stores selling daily necessities. Most importantly, the prices were reasonable. It was within the acceptable range for students. Not long after entering the market, Xiaochen sensed that someone was following him. Just as he was about to silently release his spiritual sense to find out who the other party was, the person who was following him was already running over quickly. Could it be that Ma Baixia had discovered him? Was he going to make a move in broad daylight? Xiaochen's heart tightened. He was about to turn around and get ready to fight the enemy, but he didn't expect the person to take the initiative to greet him. Four Eyes, I didn't expect you to be so fated with Sister Sour. I can't believe we ran into each other here by chance. Tian Sour acted as if she didn't see Xiaochen. She directly went around him and patted Jia Muzin's shoulder heavily. Xiaochen's tensed nerves immediately relaxed. He secretly complained, this Tian Sour is too unreliable. Why does she have to follow others for no reason? She's making such a fuss. And she's even lying about running into me by chance. He glanced to the side and saw that Su Chuxia was also following behind Tian Sour. However, her cheeks were slightly red, and her expression was a little helpless. It seemed that Tian Sour had forcefully dragged her over. Hello, are you here for lunch too? Jia Muzin was a little stunned. He was a little surprised to see that it was Tian Sour. Why has Tian Sour been looking for me lately? Could it be that I'm going to get lucky with the ladies? But didn't she say that she had a boyfriend, and even warned me not to dream about it? Actually, Jia Muzin didn't know that after Tian Sour went to their dormitory a few days ago, she was relieved. However, after thinking about it, she still felt that it was very likely that Jia Muzin knew her. It was just that he pretended not to know her, because he wanted to snitch on her. After all, the bounty was quite high. Tian Sour couldn't sleep for the whole night. She decided to test the waters again. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to sleep well tonight. After making her decision, she took Su Chuxia and followed Xiaochen and the others from the school to the student market. She planned to find an opportunity to get close to Jia Muzin and familiarize herself with him. Then, she would use her beauty to get the information out of him. At first, Su Chuxia didn't agree with Tian Sour's way of doing things. She felt that stalking others was a very rude thing to do. It was just like when Xiaochen stalked and spied on her. She also felt uncomfortable because her every move was exposed to others. However, she had a gentle personality. She couldn't stand Tian Sour's coaxing and pestering. Moreover, the situation was indeed special. Moreover, if she stayed in the school, she might be harassed by Shuigao. She had no choice but to follow them. Yeah, why don't we eat together? Tian Sour rolled her eyes and said casually, although Sister Sour already has a boyfriend and can't let you date him, I can give you a chance to treat us to lunch. A loser like you probably doesn't have many opportunities to have lunch with two beautiful women, right? How about it? Are you a little excited? Su Chuxia, who was standing at the side, blushed even more. She lowered her head so much that it almost touched the ground. Who would praise themselves like that? Sour was too impulsive. This, Jia Muzin was a little troubled. He pointed at Xiao Chun and Cheng Minjing and said, I'm afraid I can't this time. I've already promised Xiao Yi and the others that we'll have lunch together. I can't go back on my word, can I? Why don't we meet another day? What's another day? Haven't you heard that a chance encounter is better than an invitation? Sister Sour isn't free every day. Her schedule will be full the next day. Besides, they're showing off their love. Is it appropriate for you to be the third wheel? Tian Sour interrupted Jia Muzin before he could finish. I don't think it's inappropriate. Jia Muzin was the one who asked us out first. If you want to come and freeload, we don't mind. At most, we'll just add 2 more pairs of chopsticks. Seeing Jia Muzin's troubled expression, Xiao Chen had no choice but to help him out. How can you say that? What do you mean by freeloading? We're 2 beautiful women. Do we need to freeload? Sister Sour is doing this for your own good. What if after lunch, you want to find a place to do it, and that 4-eyed guy happens to be with you? Wouldn't that be awkward? Tian Sour rolled her eyes at Xiao Chun and said without any hesitation, what nonsense are you talking about? Who wants to do it with Xiao Yi? Can you not talk nonsense when you don't know the situation? Cheng Minjing suddenly lost her cool and said angrily, What's wrong with this Tian Sour? Her thoughts are too dirty. Nothing has happened between me and Xiao Chun, but from her words, it seems like I like him a lot. Hi sister Sour understands your difficulties. Although that Xiao Yi looks tall and strong, I didn't expect him to be a quick shooter. He finished it in a few minutes. If it was any other woman, they would feel unhappy. Tian Sour had a sympathetic expression as she patted Cheng Minjing's shoulder and comforted her. But don't be too sad. There are many men out there. Why do you have to hang yourself on one tree? If you can't do it, then change to another one. Cheng Minjing was so angry that she couldn't speak. She felt that Tian Sour's words were a bit off. After thinking about it carefully, she realized. How did Tian Sour know that Xiao Chun was a quick shooter? Could it be that they? Cheng Minjing turned her head and glared at Xiao Chun. Sour, how can you say such things? It's easy to misunderstand. Su Chuxia frowned and finally couldn't stand it anymore. She hurriedly explained to Cheng Minjing, Classmate, don't think too much. Sour is just too outspoken. Nothing happened between her and Xiao Yi. She only said that because a few days ago, Sour went to find Jia Muzin. Chapter 897. After listening to Su Chuxia's explanation, Cheng Minjing finally understood that she had indeed misunderstood the relationship between Xiao Chun and Tian Souring. Her expression also softened a little. Su Chuxia also secretly wiped away her sweat. Fortunately, Souring told her about the situation when he returned. Otherwise, she would not be able to clear her name, even if she jumped into the Yellow River. All right. Let's get down to business. Since we're clear, let's go eat together. It's my treat. Xiao Chun let out a sigh of relief and gave Su Chuxia a grateful look. Fortunately, she had helped to explain. Otherwise, he would definitely be scolded by the missy again. It's my treat. I was the one who called you guys out. How can I let you spend money? Jia Muzin quickly waved his hand and then pointed to a barbecue shop not far away. That shop looks pretty good. There are quite a lot of people eating there. Why don't we go there? All right, haha. It's decided then. Sister Sour could eat meat without restraint again. It felt so good. Let's go and get a good spot. You 2 losers, hurry up and follow us. Tian Souring pulled Su Chuxia's hand and ran directly to the barbecue shop. He did not forget to wave his hand for Xiao Chun and the others to follow. What losers? I think you're the loser. It's just a barbecue, and you're already so happy. It's as if you've never eaten meat in your life. Cheng Minjing was very dissatisfied. Xiao Chun was her fiancé. If he was a loser, then what was she? This Tian Souring really did not know how to speak. His EQ was too low. Xiao Chun could only helplessly shrug when he heard this. He did not dare to continue the conversation, although he knew that Tian Souring only looked careless and did not actually have a bad personality. Xiaochen did not dare to put in a good word for Tian, souring in front of the Missy. Otherwise, she would be suspicious again. During the meal, everyone was busy finishing the food. Only Tian Suruan kept chatting with Jia Muzin. The content of the conversation was nothing more than questions about where he had lived in the past, his family background, and so on. It seemed as if he would not be satisfied until he got to the bottom of Jia Muzin. However, Jia Muzin didn't tell him everything honestly. Instead, he only answered half-heartedly. It was clear that he wasn't too willing to talk about his past. Many of his questions were answered half-heartedly, leaving Tian Wangchuan at a loss. Xiaochen could tell that Tian Suruan was still unwilling to give up. He was purposely getting close to Jia Muzin, using the excuse of eating as an excuse to obtain some information from him. Even so, Xiaochen did not intend to expose him directly. In any case, this matter had nothing to do with him. Moreover, Jia Muzin's lips seemed to be sealed. Tian Wangshuo would not be able to find out anything in such a short time. However, Xiaochen believed that with Sister Suruan's personality, she wouldn't give up so easily. He just didn't know why she was so interested in Jia Muzin. Sure enough, after the meal, Tian Wangshuo insisted on going shopping with Xiaochen and the others. Jia Muzin felt that they were going to buy some daily necessities anyway, so he didn't reject her. Xiaochen, Cheng Minjing, and Su Qixia naturally became his followers. Hello fellow students! Our karate dojo has a big sale today. With this VIP card, you can experience a free lesson. Also, you can enjoy a 20% discount when you register. Are you interested in giving it a try? While everyone was wandering around aimlessly, a person who looked like a student suddenly stopped them and handed over a few VIP cards. He asked with a smile on his face, "Oh, Sister Suruan isn't interested in fighting and killing. You can ask those three. They're from the Ancient Martial Arts Department. Maybe they'll join you." Tian Wangshuo was squatting at a stall selling accessories. She immediately waved her hand and rejected the student. "Thank you for your kindness, but we feel that foreign martial arts are too weak. They're not as strong as ancient martial arts, so there's no need to recommend them." Xiaochen didn't beat around the bush. He had to use the most direct method to reject others. Moreover, he was already an expert at the peak of Golden Core Stage Level 3. Karate was useless to him. "Student, you can't be so sure. Why don't you come and experience it first? Maybe you'll change your mind." The student still didn't give up and tried to sell his wares. He was a part-time student. If he could recommend a customer to learn karate, he could get a commission. Therefore, he didn't want to let go of any opportunity. "Hey, I saw that purple earring first. Why did you snatch it away without saying a word? Give it back to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Before Xiaochen could reply, Cheng Minjing and Tian Wangshuo started arguing again. Xiaochen was speechless. He had no choice but to go and check on the situation. What a joke. Why didn't you pay for it? If you didn't pay, then it doesn't count. Now that it's in Sister Wangshuo's hands, it's mine. You're obviously a loser, yet you call yourself a miss. I think you've watched too many melodramatic dramas. Tian Wangshuo held a plastic box tightly in her hand and sneered. Tian Wangshuo didn't intend to compete with Cheng Minjing. However, she happened to overhear Cheng Minjing calling her a loser behind her back. At that time, Tian Wangshuo had been suppressing her anger. However, in order to get information from Jia Muzin, she couldn't act up on the spot. Now, she finally had a chance to take revenge. "You!" Cheng Minjing almost exploded. She quickly took a deep breath and suppressed her anger. She said patiently, I just wanted to see if there were any better-looking earrings. That's why I didn't pay immediately." If you don't believe me, you can ask the stall owner. He can testify for me. Tisk, if you want to find better, then it means you don't like this pair of earrings. That means you didn't buy it. Look at your rustic look. The earrings suit you well. Let Sister Wangshuo wear these elegant purple earrings. Tian Wangshuo glanced at Cheng Minjing with disdain. She took out her wallet and prepared to pay for the earrings. "You're the rustic one. Your whole family is rustic." Cheng Minjing didn't expect Tian Wangshuo to be so unreasonable. She was so angry that her head was buzzing. Seeing that Tion Soran was about to pay, she hurriedly took out her wallet and pulled out a 100 yuan bill, stuffing it into the stall owner's hand. "Stall owner, I'll pay for the purple earrings first. Please help me get them back." "That, classmate, let's not talk about whether or not I can get it back. The purple earrings are made of 925 pure silver. They cost $150. You don't have enough money." Seeing the two girls fighting over the earrings, the stall owner knew it was a good opportunity to make a profit. He rolled his eyes and pretended to be helpless. Tian Wangsho wanted to pay as well. However, when she saw Cheng Minjing hand over the money first and heard the stall owner's words, she blinked and came up with an idea. She quietly kept her wallet and stood there without saying a word. "Oh, then I'll give you another $50. Help me get the earrings back." Cheng Minjing believed him and blushed. She quickly took out another $50 from her wallet and handed it over. "Young lady, since this classmate paid first, give her the earrings. I'm also running a small business. Don't make things difficult for me." The stall owner took the money in satisfaction and turned to Tian Wangsho. "It's okay. Sister Wangsho is good friends with her. We were just playing around. She wanted to buy these earrings for me anyway, so you don't have to worry about it." Tian Wangsho smirked and said nonchalantly. She put the earrings back into her bag and hummed a song as she prepared to leave. Since Tian Wangsho said so, the stall owner couldn't ask her for more. Moreover, the two of them did come together and seemed to know each other. The young lady wouldn't lie. "Damn it! Xiao!" Cheng Minjing stomped her feet in anger. She didn't expect Tian Wangsho to be so shameless. Seeing Xiao Chun walking over from afar, Cheng Minjing was about to ask him to teach Tian Suru a lesson. However, she had only opened her mouth halfway when she suddenly paused. She had an idea and thought of a good way to punish him. "Stop shouting. Sister Wangsho is so charming. Your loser boyfriend definitely won't come." As Tian Wangsho spoke, the smug look on her face gradually froze. She lowered her head and took out the earrings from her bag. She handed them to Cheng Minjing and turned to pick up the earrings from the stall. "Boss, how much do these earrings cost?" "Oh, the original price is $70, but this is the last box. I'll give you a discount. Just give me $60. The stall owner didn't know why Tian Wangsho suddenly changed her mind, but he wouldn't let go of the opportunity to make money. The earrings cost only $5, so he asked for more than 10 times the price. "Oh, here's $60. I'll take these earrings." Tian Wangsho nodded blankly. She took out the money from her wallet and handed it over. She put away the earrings and walked towards Su Chuxiao in a daze. "Wangsho, I thought you didn't like the earrings? Why did you buy them all of a sudden?" Su Chuxiao was confused. She was already surprised when Tian Wangsho returned the purple earrings to Cheng Minjing. She thought that it might be because Wangsho didn't want to make enemies with others. However, when she bought this earrings, Su Chuxiao really didn't understand. "What are you talking about? What earrings?" Tian Wangsho's body trembled. Her eyes suddenly became clear. She took out the earrings from her bag and was stunned. What's going on? I clearly bought a purple one." "You returned the purple earrings to Cheng Yaoyao. Then you bought this earrings. I don't know what you were thinking. If you didn't like them, why did you buy them?" Su Chuxiao was also confused. She couldn't understand what Tian Wangsho was thinking. Sister Wangsho's brain seemed to be out of control just now. She bought them in a daze. Tian Wangsho scratched her head. She couldn't remember what happened just now. "How did this happen? Are you sick?" Su Chuxia asked worriedly. She reached out to touch Tian Wangsho's forehead. There wasn't a fever. Chapter 898. It's okay, Sister Saori is not sick. Tian Saori lowered her head to look at the earring. Suddenly she said angrily, "No. Sister Saori can't take this loss. This thing is worth 60 yuan. It's my daily living expenses. Sister Saori doesn't want such an ugly thing. It doesn't match my beautiful temperament at all." Student, since the item has been sold, and there are no quality issues, it's not refundable. The stall owner heard their conversation and saw Tian Saori walking over. He knew that she must be here to return the item, so he gave her a sideways glance and rejected her. The stall owner sneered and cursed silently. What a joke. The money is already in my pocket, and you want me to spit it out? Dream on. What? You're obviously being a tyrant. There's no. Tion Saori wanted to argue, but the stall owner waved his hand and said with a faint smile, Don't use those terms. We small businesses are uncultured and don't understand. Anyway, the item sold is definitely not refundable. Before Tion Saori could speak, Xiaochun walked over with Cheng Minjing's purple earring. He asked directly, Boss, you said that this thing is made of 925 pure silver? Are you sure? Do you have an appraisal certificate for the earring? Xiaochun originally didn't want to interfere with the little quarrel between Tion Saori and Cheng Minjing. However, the stall owner was obviously taking advantage of the situation. He reported the price against his conscience, and Cheng Minjing and the rest didn't realize it at all. She even paid for it stupidly. Although he had set up a stall before, he had always operated with integrity. What he hated the most was using fake goods to make a fortune. As long as he released a little of his mental power, Xiaochun could sense that the earring was not made of pure silver. In addition, the stall owner's attitude towards Tion Saori was so bad that Xiaochun was instantly enraged. Of course, we are businessmen, and honesty is the most important thing. This is the appraisal report. Take a look. The stall owner didn't seem to be surprised. He took out a booklet from somewhere and handed it over. Xiaochun took it and glanced at it. He found that the words on it were very blurry, and there were no anti-counterfeiting signs or barcodes. It was obviously a fake. You dare to fool people with this kind of appraisal report that can be duplicated for 1 yuan? It can only fool those little girls. Xiaochun frowned and threw the booklet on the ground. Don't talk nonsense over there. The stall owner jumped up like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. He looked Xiaochun up and down and said in a shrill voice, What proof do you have that I'm fooling you? Don't spout nonsense if you don't have any evidence. Do you believe that I will go to the market management office to sue you for slander and let the security take care of you? Cheng Minjing and Tion Saori were watching from the side. Even though they didn't like each other, they knew that Xiaochun was supporting them, so they didn't say anything. Xiaochun laughed coldly. He took out a purple ear stud from the box and pinched it lightly. With a kacha sound, the ear stud was directly broken by Xiaochun, revealing the metal inside. The metal was a rusty yellow with a greenish tint. It was obvious that it was made of low-quality copper with a layer of silver on the surface. Raising the ear stud in front of the stall owner, Xiaochun asked coldly, Didn't you say that it's pure silver? Then explain to me, what kind of metal is this? This. The stall owner didn't expect Xiaochun to be so strong that he could directly break the ear stud. He was shocked and his face turned red and white. He stuttered and couldn't speak. What this and that? Aren't you going to the market management office? Let's go. I want to see if I can fine you 8 or 10,000 yuan for selling fake goods. Xiaochun grabbed the stall owner's wrist and dragged him out. Wait. Let's talk this out. I was also cheated when I was buying goods. I'm a victim just like you guys. At most I'll refund you the money and give you the ear stud as a gift. The stall owner struggled a few times, but realized that his wrist was locked by an iron hoop. He couldn't break free at all. Left with no choice, he could only beg for mercy. Dream on. Do you know that this is fraud? Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and follow me to the market management office. Otherwise, I won't be polite. Xiaochun threatened relentlessly. Don't. Let's talk this out. The stall owner's face was bitter. His heart was full of grievances. He was really unlucky today. He didn't expect to meet such a tough customer like Xiaochun. If he really went to the market management office, the fine was secondary. The key was that his stall would definitely be closed down. Where else could he find such a good place to make money? Seeing that Xiaochun couldn't make an exception, the stall owner turned his head and saw Cheng Minjing standing on the side. He immediately became spirited and said to her with a sad face, This beautiful classmate. I was really cheated. It wasn't intentional. How about this? I'll give you a pair of ear studs. I won't charge extra money. Just take it as compensation. What do you think? It's not easy for us to run a small business. Xiao Yi, he was cheated when buying goods. He's also one of the victims. Since it was unintentional, how about we just let it go? Cheng Minjing was, after all, inexperienced. Seeing that the stall owner was begging, she thought that he was telling the truth. She felt that he was quite pitiful, so she didn't think too much about it, and pleaded with Xiao Chun for leniency. Yeah, it's all my fault. I couldn't tell the truth from the fake. Also, this young lady is also begging for leniency for me. Little brother, don't bother about it. Be magnanimous and let me go. Seeing that there was hope, the stall owner quickly took advantage of the situation. Oh, okay. I'll listen to you. Xiao Chun let go of his hand and warned with a cold face. Only this time. Don't do it again. If I find out that you're selling shoddy goods again, don't blame me for turning against you. The stall owner nodded repeatedly. His back was drenched in cold sweat. How could there be a next time? If I see you again, I won't do business with you no matter how many things you buy. Xiao Chun nodded in satisfaction. Actually, he was just trying to scare the stall owner. He was so short of money now. 150 yuan was a large amount. How could he spend it recklessly? Miss was really something. She forgot everything when she fought with others. Hold on. Sister Sour wants to change too. You can't just give her one and not give me one, right? We're together. Tian Sour saw Cheng Minjing picking the ear studs and quickly went up to him. Okay. I'll give you one too. The stall owner returned the money to Cheng Minjing. He had no choice but to agree helplessly. He couldn't wait for these people to take their things and leave quickly. Anyway, the price of the ear studs was only a few yuan. It didn't matter if he gave them one more pair. As long as he could send this group of plagues away, it was fine. Tian Siruan was very happy. She put on a big smile and stood there picking out the earrings. Unfortunately, there was only one pair of purple earrings on Xiao Chen's hand. In the end, after picking and choosing, she could only choose a dark green one. Humph. How shameless. Following someone else's boyfriend to take advantage of you. Learning to grow white hair from someone else. Following someone else makes you a puppy. Cheng Minjing snorted. Tian Sour rolled her eyes. Hey, how did you know that Sister Sour wanted to take advantage of your boyfriend? It seems that you have the awareness of being a concubine. Tian Sour was not offended. She asked back with a smile. She didn't take Cheng Minjing's mockery to heart at all. You. Cheng Minjing was speechless. She clenched her fists tightly and didn't know what to do. Quarreling with others had always been her weakness. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked Jean Bebe for help when she couldn't win an argument against Yi Xiaoya. Haha, I'm just kidding. Your loser boyfriend is too ugly. Only a loser like you would like him. Sister Sour doesn't care about him. Don't worry for nothing. Tian Sour said proudly when she saw Cheng Minjing was speechless. You humph. This is what you said. Don't regret it in the future. Cheng Minjing blurted out such a sentence for no reason. Hee, Sister Sour never regrets it. Tian Sour waved her hand carelessly. Alright Sour, let's go back to school. We still have classes in the afternoon. Seeing that the matter had come to an end, Su Chuxiao left with Tian Sour. She was afraid that Sour would say something wrong and cause a conflict with Cheng Minjing again. Looking at Tian Sour's back as he left, Cheng Minjing's sullenness disappeared. Instead, she thought proudly, humph. I knew there was something going on between you and Xiao Chun. Now that you said it yourself, let's see what you can do in the future. Xiao Yi, let's go back to school. I don't even have time to go shopping after Tian Sour made a scene. I'm leaving now. Hurry up. Jia Muzin stood by the side for a long time. Seeing that it was almost afternoon, he hurriedly left after giving some instructions. He was also worried that he wouldn't be able to make it for the afternoon classes. Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing weren't in a hurry. They walked toward the school leisurely. They were arranged to get into the school through their connections. It wouldn't matter if they missed one class. On the way back, Cheng Minjing's expression was a little gloomy. She felt that it was a pity. The purple ear stud was actually quite beautiful. She didn't expect it to be broken. However, it wasn't Xiao Chen's fault. If he didn't do that, She would have spent 150 yuan on a fake for nothing. However, if that thing was sold for 15 yuan, she would still buy it. Here, this is for you. Xiaochen seemed to have seen through Cheng Minjing's thoughts. He magically took out a box from his pocket and handed it to her. Cheng Minjing looked down. To her surprise, it was the purple ear stud from before. However, it was still intact. Hey, didn't you break this ear stud? Why is it still fine? Cheng Minjing asked in surprise. She clearly saw Xiaochen break it with her own eyes. How could it be fine now? Oh, I just used an illusion just now. Didn't you control Tian Sour's mind as well? Xiaochen shrugged and said nonchalantly. So that's how it is. Cheng Minjing nodded in realization. When she heard the latter part of Xiaochen's words, she curled her lips and said with a face full of dissatisfaction. You think I like it? It's all Tian Sour's fault. If she didn't go against me, why would I use my mind power to control her? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.